What's up, y'all? Oxie here. This cold opener is kind of a little off the cuff. It's like 12:30 on Wednesday before I upload the video, and I got done editing, I got done listening to it, and as you guys are about to see, it's relatively negative compared to some other episodes that we have. And TMD and I actually talked about it after the episode, and we both kind of agreed that like we really should have specified that it's very fortunate for us as RuneScape players to be able to sit here and complain about updates that are gonna be like 7 out of 10 at worst, you know? Um, the community and the consultation and these kinds of like big summit events are always super exciting, even if we're not always super stoked about the stuff that's in them. We just want to acknowledge that like as a player base, we're really lucky to have that in our game. So, with that said, I hope you guys still enjoy this episode. We have some laughs, we have some complaints, and we are actually genuinely curious to hear your guys' thoughts. So, keep the Xpwaste chat open today and talk about the Summer Summit 2024, folks. All right, roll the intro music, boys. It's episode time. Hello, and welcome back to Xpwaste, where I was supposed to be maxed by now, but I'm not. Hi, I'm Oxie.
And I'm TMD, and I'm never gonna max because I respect myself too much.
Well, bold of you to have a little bit of self-respect. If you're new around here, you might not have any self-respect for yourself because you probably looked up Old School RuneScape podcast, and we're the first ones that popped up because that's exactly what we are. We talk about Old School RuneScape, we talk about the news, game updates, our thoughts and opinions on the game, as well as various tips and tricks to kind of help you guys out while playing the game. We get off on tangents sometimes, and I actually have a new guest co-host with me today. So our normal co-host, Michael, is indisposed at the moment. He's on vacation with his family. So he is not going to be here, and this unhinged nightmare will persist. So if this is your first time tuning in, brace yourself. You're going to have a great time. If it's not your first time tuning in, Michael didn't know TMD was coming back on the show till last night. So we snuck him under the radar, baby. We're back for another. We haven't had an Oxy TMD episode in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's the only way we could get Michael to agree to it is by him not knowing.
Him not showing up.
Also, the real reason that I'm never gonna max is because I keep making new RuneScape accounts.
You are currently playing 4 different accounts. What are you doing? What have you been up to on all 12 of your accounts?
Yes. So the main I haven't played basically since a couple weeks after Bingo. I got really into Hunter Rumors, and then I did Araxor. But the main is basically a bingo machine at this point. And then, let's see, Normal Iron I haven't played in forever. The 2 groupies. So, our groupie, I've been on the crafting grind. Michael gave me a bunch of glass so that I can make him a, what's the magic bracelet? Whatever the magic bracelet's called. It's been a minute.
Tormented or an anguish?
Tormented.
Why does he want a tormented?
Why would you not want it? Does he want an anguish? Anguish is boring. He should make a tormented. It's a way bigger TPS increase.
Oh my god.
It's probably that's way higher level though. No, he probably wanted an anguish. Anyway, and then on the other group with some of the bingo boys, I'm going for SOT. I'm almost 1,500 total. I started it like 2 months ago. But my wife was on nights for a whole month, so all I did was play RuneScape.
Good old getting Gerald Kim off. Just absolutely bumping and grinding.
Justice for Gerald Kim off. He did nothing wrong. Gerald especially has done nothing wrong. He's a good guy.
No way to win. Can never fucking win around.
You can't win with these people. Anyway.
So you've been playing 14 fucking accounts.
Yes.
And have been. I saw you the other day. It was disgusting. He had 4 RuneScape
Yeah,
client
wait, let me
windows taking up
find
the
that
4 corners of his
screenshot.
screen, and he was thieving in Varlamore. Was it all of
No,
them?
on
Were you
3
doing
of them while
thieving?
I was questing on the new groupie.
Oh my
Let me
god,
see if I have the
it's
picture of
atrocious. It
that.
is absolutely atrocious.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, and it was while I was watching college football. Oh no, I guess I was wood cutting, getting so Rex done.
That's still atrocious.
If there's anyone out there who needs to get their thieving up, who has not tried the Varlamore thieving, it's so chill. You get like guaranteed pickpockets that keep going like in leagues, once every like 60 to 90 seconds, and you only have to click once. I was getting like 50k XP an hour, which is very slow for thieving. However, it's so easy, and you can do other stuff like watch football or watch Xpwaste.
Look at that. Look at that. He's plugging like he's been here before. What a man. What a man. I've not watched any college football this year yet, because I don't have any real way to watch college football.
Yeah.
So my Michigan State Spartans are at the moment 2-0, but looking shaky from what I've heard. But way more importantly, my Lions are back on tonight,
Let's
baby.
go.
So definitely gonna pop in and watch them on prime time, which also sucks now. Like I feel like if you're a fan of a team that has been bad for at least a decade or more, you should get grandfathered into a ticket discount system, right? Because the Detroit Lions are currently the most expensive tickets in the
Is
NFL
that
right now.
true? That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's stupid. Like upper bowl at Ford Field is like 200 $250. Like nosebleeds.
That's crazy.
And it feels disrespectful for the people who like I didn't choose to be a Lions fan. I was born into this, you know? Y'all are new Lions fans.
This is his
You
lot in
merely
life.
adopted the darkness, right?
Yeah.
Like just
One
so
of my friends from college, he bought Lions season tickets for the first time last year. And so it was much easier for him than the average person to get them this year. He had no idea they were going to be good. He just was like, well, such is life.
yeah, I
Anyway,
suppose
should we talk
so.
about RuneScape? It's already been like 20 minutes.
No, it's not been 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes were you
It's
trying
only-
to figure out how to record.
Yes. What is a virtual camera?
Yeah, virtual camera and then trying to get the sync up going. My week in RuneScape, 2260 total level. I thought I finished Giant's Foundry last night. I was so excited. I was like, oh my god, yes, I'm done. I never have to go back. I got all the collection log slots, and I looked in the collection log, and I'm like, why is it not green? I just forgot the Colossal Blade was the thing.
No.
So I have to go back for another 5k points, but we're schmoving.
Rookie mistake.
Smithing.
That's less than the other one, right? Like less than the outfit.
No, it's less than the outfit, but it's 5,000 points. So it's the most expensive, but it's not the most like, it's not the longest grind of all of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we out here wood cutting at 98 wood cutting, friggin' 94 smithing. I don't know. I feel like I've done more than that, but looking at my total levels, I don't think I have. So this grind is something. Yesterday I was supposed to max. Yesterday was RuneFest, and I was either gonna max the Friday before or at RuneFest on Saturday. I still contend I could have done it, but those like 4 or 5 weeks I took off, and just the lack of motivation, like knowing that RuneFest was gonna get canceled, and then just like, well, who cares? It got canceled. That kind of killed the vibe, but we're back on track. So.
So is for those who haven't been paying attention, couldn't be me. What is are you still trying to max before bingo? Is that the new plan?
The game plan is to max the Friday before bingo.
Fair
So
enough.
I can have, and this will go into kind of what we're talking about for main title content. The original plan was to max before bingo, play bingo just to a disgusting degree, like absolute degenerate hours bingo. And then just like not play RuneScape for the rest of the year. That was kind of the goal. It was just like take a nice hefty break from the scape. Um, and then the summer summit happened, and I don't think Tiki just posted in the recording booth chat, max burnout into bingo burnout into leagues burnout into the demise of Xpwaste. I don't think that's gonna happen. But man, I'm hoping it's not gonna happen.
The demise of Oxie, at least. Michael's gonna
Yeah, the
have to
demise
carry
of
him on
Oxie.
his own.
Yeah, he'll have to be strong for me in that period of time. But yeah, that's the game plan. We're gonna get everything but rune crafting done in September. And then we're gonna have the entire month of October to get from 93 to 99 rune crafting. That's the plan. Plan's locked in. We're ready.
You love a man with a plan.
I don't know if I love a man with a plan. Because the man with the plan is a difficult plan. But
That's fair. All right.
oh, brother, what are we here to talk about today? It's a shorter intro this week. Normally Michael and I yap for like a good half an hour.
Oh, I can yap.
But no,
I just know there's a lot to cover.
We're getting down to business, all right? We got TMD in the booth this time. We got Michael but bald, and we are here to like I said, get right down to business. The summer summit was yesterday, and Michael and I streamed it. Boy, howdy. It was a summit. I will say some of the stuff was hype. And I don't love being a negative Nancy about RuneScape updates. I don't like sounding like a boomer. I don't like being super negative, and I'm going to try to not be super negative. But there were a lot of parts of the summit that I was like, ooh, brother, ooh.
Yeah.
There were a lot of parts I was excited for, though, but there was a major hype killer that I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, you did not watch the summit, did you?
I did not watch the summer summit. I was busy at the UNC versus Charlotte football game, which was very fun. Shout out to Jeremy and Kalen. But no, I did not watch the summer summit. I have been slowly catching up. I have not caught up on every single thing. Like, I've seen the high level what they are, but I haven't dug into the details on everything. So it'll be interesting to learn more details based on just my first vibes. But so how do you want to do this? Do you want to go like in the order things were presented? Do you want to go in the order of when things are released, whatever we care the most about?
We can figure it out. We'll just start with the first one.
Sure.
Just fuck it. We'll like lump a Varlamore into a whole big thing.
We ball.
Part 2 and Part 3. Yeah. They both got announced. So Part 2 coming a little later than we thought. I think a lot of people suspected Varlamore Part 2 to drop like by the time you're listening to this episode, people expected it to drop yesterday.
No.
On the Wednesday following the summit. But that did not happen. So yeah, Varlamore Part 2, I'm very excited for.
Yes.
It's gonna be good, new content, new bosses. You looked into Varlamore Part 2 at all?
I think I just kind of know some of what it is from like following the other Varlamore stuff. But if you want to give info to the people and then me just to make sure, because some of it I might also be mixing up with Part 3.
Yeah, well, there's like a whole new chunk of the continent that we're getting. We're getting a new island. We're getting a new group boss. We're getting new quests, which should be fun to kind of continue that story that we've been getting. Mm-hmm. I think it's the Twilight Fanatics or some shit like that. Like that quest line is continuing. We're getting the Huaycodal, Huey, as they called it. Huaycodal. I don't entirely know now because they pronounced it differently, but they call him Huey. And I don't know that I'm going to use any of the rewards on my main account.
Yep.
But I think they're neat. So it'll be worth it to kill on the main for the new seeds, for the new herb, and like the like prayer enhanced potion. Just wait for Dewey Codal and Louis Codal. Good lord.
I I think that the just off the top, it being a group boss, very exciting. I like that. Because we haven't gotten a group boss that's not a raid in a while and is not in the wilderness in a while.
When was the last one?
I'm trying to think. Because the only ones I can think of off the top of my head, I guess like Nex, probably?
Oh, it would have been next. Yeah. Because unless you count Perilous Moons, that's not
No,
really.
that's not
That's
group
just like
boss.
alone together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that's always fun because I'm always looking for stuff to do with people. But like, I don't always want to go into the wilderness. And
Well,
sometimes,
Scurious is technically a group boss.
sure,
Oh.
Ascurius is actually a lot of fun to just beat the shit out of.
Scurious is good shit, dude.
So excited about that. I think a Dragon Hunter wand is cool. Feels like a weird place for the Tome of Earth to come from. But Tome of Earth seems fine. What is the armor? It's range armor? Range prayer armor? Oh, okay. I've always thought that there needs to be like a ranged equivalent of vestment robes. I think it's odd that they are basically just power creeping Blessed Hide instead. Like, we got Proselyte upgrade, which was the Sunfire armor. They didn't make it like better than like Verax in every way, you know? So if you still need tank plus prayer, you're going to go Verax or something. But if you just need prayer, you're going to go Sunfire armor. Same thing. I think they should have done something similar here of like, it's best in slot prayer if you're using range, but there's still way better range armor. And I guess we have way better range armor, but I don't know. And then the prayer regen, whatever. I don't know. It feeds into the overall vibe that we'll talk about later, but if I was to give one, and I think prayer regen potions got pulled a long time ago, right?
They did, yes.
Just the overall vibe to me, and this is going to be very old man yells at clouds, but like, what happened to my old school RuneScape?
Oh God.
What happened to
God, here we go.
old school
Here we go.
RuneScape being old school? I'm not going to dive that much into it because like, whatever, man. That ship has long sailed. And that's coming from someone who is actually on board with sailing, but there's a bunch of stuff we'll get into where it's just like, I don't know. So
Before we started recording TMD, he asked me, he said, "What's the vibe?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I'm gonna be very," as he just said, "old man yells at cloud." But if that's not the vibe, I can try to be more positive. I said, "No. We want the authentic. Give us the realest version possible."
well, I can still be authentic. There are a lot of things that I'm excited about. Like, I think it's really fun that we're getting a group boss. Group bosses are fun. And it's not in the wilderness. We'll get to that.
Oh.
I think getting another Dragonbane weapon is very cool. Although Dragonbane magic is probably going to be the one that struggles the most because dragons tend to have pretty high magic level and magic defense. But
So when I was first coming up in the world, I used to do steel dragons with my trident.
oh man,
No, dude, in my head it made perfect sense, right? Because, chromatic dragons, they're not like hit by magic, but like if metal armor is hit by magic really powerfully, then in theory metal dragons should also be hit by magic very powerfully. And I would do my steel dragons tasks with my trident. And you never get many steel dragons, but it was part of the reason why I've always hated iron dragon and bronze dragon tasks. Because I'm like, dude, they take so long. And it wasn't until I was like well into my account that somebody was like, I'm pretty sure metal dragons and chromatic dragons have like the same magic level. I'm like, no, they don't. That's not real. So I've done my fair share of magical dragon killing. Do we think this thing has a place at Chambers?
yeah, probably. I doubt that it will be better than a shadow, but I bet it will be better than everything else.
There's going to
other
be
than a
nothing
shadow.
better than a shadow.
Yeah. I agree. So I think it will probably be better than everything other than a shadow. I'm sure someone out there has done DPS calcs. I have not.
It's got a 10% magic damage on it too, which is
Yeah,
pretty nice.
10% magic damage, 50% Dragonbane accuracy, 20% Dragonbane strength. I think that accuracy is higher than like a DHCB. I think that's just like 30%. Yes, but that makes a ton of sense because, like I just said, dragons are usually pretty hard to hit with magic. So I was actually like, man, they really need to boost the accuracy even higher because dragons tend to be resistant to magic. So I think that's smart. It's actually a lower damage buff, but a higher accuracy buff. That's interesting. I am surprised that all it does is autocast standard spellbook. That's honestly a little, I don't know if disappointing.
Oh,
is
it
the right
only
word.
does standard?
That, at least, it doesn't say it only does standard, but it says that it can autocast any spell from the standard spellbook. So we'll see. And like after the magic rebalance, like standard spellbook is much nicer to use. So I think it'll be cool. I bet, I mean, just going off vibes, it will probably be best in slot at Chambers other than the Shadow. That's my
We'd
that's
we'd
my
have to
official
see the
guess.
calcs over
Yeah,
Sang
yeah.
staff, because that would probably be the only thing that really gets in the way.
Yeah, and like
Because it'd be what, like Earth Wave or some shit like that.
well, but I
like
don't
that would be
think like
Earth Surge.
Surge. But I don't think Ulm is weak to Earth, is he? Ulm. He is not. He does not have an elemental weakness. The Huey does. Huey is, I think, weak to. Wait, or am I making that up? He drops the Earth tone, but is he weak to Earth?
I don't
know.
think we know yet.
Okay, but so I mean, even if you're doing Fire Surge with like Tome of Fire, what's Fire Surge hit? Fire Surge hits 24s. Tome of Fire. They rebalance Tome of Fire. How much does it? Oh, it's only 10%. So it'll do 26s. I mean, probably be smacking 35s ish if you have like good magic damage bonus on Ulm.
It's
pretty good.
Still less than Sang staff, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
but it's gonna be so accurate. You're literally never gonna miss. I still don't know if it'll be better, and I bet there's situations too where the healing from a Sang matters. But I think it'd be good.
We'll see. We'll give it time. We'll take it in there. We'll get it on our groupies, and we'll take it up into Chambers and see. It's unfortunate that Michael's not here to talk about his recent Chambers escapades. He's become a bit of a raider. It's taken him 5 years, but he's finally in the raiding. He's in like a raiding headspace. It's the strangest dichotomy ever, where he's like, Oxie, 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 we're all kind of drunk. Hop in VC and come to Chambers. And I'm like, nah, mate, I have to skill to max. I don't think I will. It's a very interesting switch that's happened.
It's
and it's gonna be persistent for like the next 2 months or so.
Our boy, not to spoil his achievements, but he's finally learning about dupes and raids and how they don't feel as good.
Oh,
We'll just leave it
good
at that.
times had by all.
But yeah, Huey, that's probably certainly one of the like top 5 individual things for me at the summit. Maybe even higher than that, but I'm very excited. I don't have any concerns.
I'm thinking the allure of Huey is gonna wear off, at least for someone like me, because they said like mid to high mid game.
Yeah.
As a boss difficulty, so I feel like it's gonna be one of those things I kill like 100 times, and I'm like, all right, cool, and then just don't go back till bingo.
Yeah. I think it will be like going just based off vibes. I bet it will be somewhere like you would want like God Wars level stats, but it will have more mechanics going on.
Yeah, I hope so. Tiki asked, are you saving Herblore for the new activity, or are you going to get 99 and then you get that sweet post 99 XP? It's going to be post 99 XP. I'm thinking it might not be post 99 XP. But I'm definitely gonna put it off. I'm not gonna green log it for 99. I have another plan for 99 Herblore that I'm gonna hopefully can make happen. Which I think will be pretty funny in the vein of stupid 99s. But it's not gonna be with this mini game. Have you read anything about the mini game yet?
Other than just knowing that it is all Iron Men everywhere, like, I can finally use all of my Marintils and Terramins.
TMD is a great co-host because he has a lot of opinions on old school RuneScape and a lot of game knowledge about old school RuneScape and has not read an update blog in like 3 years. He has no fucking clue what's happening in this game.
I used to be so dialed
He's
in.
like, are they gonna release that new nightmare boss yet? And we're like,
the nightmare of Oxie's mama.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But no, new Herblore minigame. I'm not gonna read all this. Like,
No.
like that's a lot of words. Too bad I ain't reading them.
Yeah.
We touched on the Herblore minigame a couple months ago, and I was a real boomer about it. We got aggro pots now, which is gonna be hype.
Aggro pots are old man yells at clouds incarnate. I think that I will still use them. I think they'll be very nice, but
it's the principle of the thing for you.
Of the matter.
Well, then you're gonna hate some of the shit going in Varlamore
I know.
3 then.
So okay, I will say Varlamore itself, all of the activities in Varlamore have been knockout home runs. Even like I have a few qualms about Perilous Moons because having now done it on some low level accounts, it is miserable for low level accounts.
Bro, it's hard.
Well, it's not even hard.
Scimitar. I did not have a good time.
It's not even hard because there's nothing you can do to have more success other than go get higher stats, nerd. Like I was doing Sulfur Naguas on the new groupie. That was like I was trying to rush those to get combat XP. And I was like, oh, and they dropped the fucking runecrafting XP. Let's go. So I started the quest just to get access to them and started killing them. The sulfurous essence that they drop, you cannot bank. It will disintegrate if you leave the Perilous Moons area. And you cannot turn it in until you've beaten the quest. And in order to beat the quest, you need to kill the Perilous Moons once. I tried so many times with my like 65 attack and strength and like 50 defense to kill the Blood Moon, and I'd get it down to 100 HP, and then it would be like, I'm gonna heal 60 damage every 5 ticks, you dumbass. And it's like
so bad.
Oh god. So I literally
it's like
I stayed there and trained my stats up to 60 defense, dropped the sulfurous essence at the door, ran, got the dragon plate legs and like a dragon med helm, and finally was able to just scrape by. Which was very fun, but
it doesn't sound very fun, is the
Oxie,
thing. I did it on my groupie a little bit. You are kind of a sicko.
I like doing shit
I've only
that I
ever
have
done
no
Perilous
business doing.
Moons. I've only ever done Perilous Moons with a scythe and dragon claws. So going in there on my GIM before I had before we had the extra whip, like going for combat achievements with that, it was like a 12-minute KC. Yeah. It was bad. It was very stinky. But you know, we did it.
Yeah.
And
anyway, that's Varlamore Part 1. So
that's Varlamore Part 1. Varlamore Part 2, I'm thinking this Herblore minigame, I'm not particularly excited about it. I can't say I'm stoked for the Herblore minigame. I don't care about the potion storage. Pre-pot device. It's probably going to be one of those things that like I'm going to have to get eventually.
Yeah, and
whatever.
It's hard to get me out of bed for a pre-pot device, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't take that many ticks to pre-pot to begin with. And can you pre-pot food with this? Like, can you add food in the imbued heart to this anyways?
I doubt it, but let's see. 5 different potions, drink them all at once. There's 4 different loadouts. Reorder them. No, just potions. Oh, but what about barbarian potions? The barbarian potion enjoyers, rise up. I think. Thought you were muted.
Sorry, I had to type to Raccoon. He came to Woodcut with me and stood on the exact same tile. So
what a man.
Me and my small brain had to type using the same urinal as me. Maybe it's a barbarian potion angle. I don't think so. I
do not think so.
I don't think, stop trying to make barbarian potions work. But in any case, Varlamore Part 2, it's going to be pretty pog. The abs on the graceful recolor, though, holy shit.
Those are... Somebody was cooking.
Somebody was cooking. Why the lady doesn't have abs? Where's the muscle mommy in OSRS? Give the lady graceful abs, okay?
I agree. Do it, you cowards.
Yeah, and the bone scroll recolor.
I will say,
that said,
we got a lot of scroll recolors.
There's 3. There's the regular one, there's the Hollowed Sepulcher, and there's the bone one now.
I'm mixing it up
which
with
is
something
neat.
else. I'm probably mixing it up with something else. Yeah, I like it overall.
Varlamore Part 2, good content. Varlamore Part 3, The Final Dawn. I'm excited. I'm interested to see how Old Man yells at Cloud here, but I'm very excited. We get a new fletching activity, which doesn't matter for the main account, but will probably be cool for the Iron. New Slayer dungeon, which we saw little snippets of last night. And they showed it off, and it looked like we're going to get new variants of other monsters. Like, at least we're getting a new cave crawler variant and a new jelly variant. Possibly a normal jelly, like a warped jelly or whatever it is from the catacombs. But new variants of these monsters could be fun for Turiel boosting, Turiel skipping.
You know what
Maybe the dungeon will be designed to Turiel skip.
You know what the people have been pounding the table for, Oxie, for years, probably since before I was born. They said, Jagex, please give us a new cave crawler. Please, for the love of God. It's all we want is a new cave crawler. I'm glad they finally listened to the people, gave us a new cave crawler.
Where's my 6-fingered crawling hand?
Hey,
where's the crawling foot?
Where's the 6th finger, Oxie?
The crawling foot or the 6-fingered crawling hand. Those are the alternate options that we need. I think it'll be fun though. Yeah. It looks like it's a snow themed dungeon. They design it around Turiel skipping, that could be kind of fun.
Yeah, I do have a real take about
how interesting that is.
My real take is I think it's a great update. More variety in Slayer is always good. My one beef, we need another way to get ancient shards. There's so many cool ways to do Slayer now. And if you don't do 1 billion hours of Slayer in the Karen Catacombs, you're locking yourself out of the best Demonbane weapons by far. And like the Emberlight and the Scorching Bow are nuts. And if you want to just like go grind them out specifically, it's mind numbing, and we need a better way to get ancient shards. Yeah. It can even be like the Karen Catacombs still, but like have a way for us to
exchange Katizo totems
or grind
shards.
It out. I mean, he does drop ancient shards, so I guess you do directly. Yeah,
making a more direct transaction.
Yeah,
once you get the pet, who cares?
Or just like ways to get Slayer tasks there more often. Like give us a Karen Slayer Master. Wish we had one of those. Who gives catacomb tasks, like maybe not exclusively, but like significantly more often.
But instead, she actually makes it worse.
Yeah, she makes it way worse.
Necreal's in the Slayer Tower. Beep, 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 beep.
I mean, Tiki, we don't need more ancient shards. Well, I do on my groupies, but like, think about a new player who's like, oh boy, I want to level up Slayer. And they do all of this they do some Wildy Slayer, they do some Konar Slayer, which takes them all over. They go, oh my god, Pug, they're doing a new Slayer dungeon in Varlamore. Let me do tasks there. And then you get to be high level and you're like, oh, I have accumulated 10 ancient shards over my entire life and I need 100 for each of these weapons. Like, yeah, but it needs to be maxed out once, which is still a lot of shards.
It's 30.
And
I think.
they need to fix this. You need to never drop to 0. I don't know anybody who drops to 0 on their Arclight. I feel like everybody stops using it way before that, but
I don't think I like ever use my Arclight at this point.
yeah, but that's because you're maxed and have a scythe.
No, I mean like because of the charge issue for years,
Yeah.
it was like, all right, we're only using the Arclight for special occasions. Like if we're going to Zammy or if we're going to Cerberus. Those are the only 2 times I ever used an Arclight. Or if I went to Sire, which
Like
thankfully I
demonics.
don't do a lot of.
Yeah.
Again, but I don't do a lot of demonic gorillas either. So like those 4 instances are very like bingo based bosses for me, you know?
Yeah. And you're not gonna
And then now
use
you're
them-
right. I do have a scythe where like I use the scythe at Cerb. I use the scythe at I don't think you use scythe at Sire. You use Fang. I feel like.
Yeah.
It might be Emberlight now, but a couple months ago I think it was Fang. Yeah.
Anyway, so I think it's very cool, but they need to be thinking more about the fact that they just released stuff that was like, hey, you should really do 8 billion hours of Karen Slayer, but oh hey, we are in other ways disincentivizing you from doing Karen Slayer. It's like I've been doing a ton of Wildy Slayer on the groupie, and it's been really fun. And really good Slayer points and pretty varied tasks, and you get boss tasks every once in a while. It's like, oh hey, I literally don't have any ancient shards, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm forced into it. It's the way I felt a while ago about when they were starting to introduce cool new agility methods, but they were like, ha ha ha, you still need to spend 1 billion hours on rooftops to get graceful.
Do we think it'd be a good addition for them to add ancient shards as like a global Slayer drop?
I don't think it needs to be global. Maybe even have it be kind of like crystal shards where you can get them rarely doing other stuff in Korend. Or even just have a boss that is not Skatizo that like drops a couple crystal shards as a relatively rare reward.
Well, maybe the new boss that could do it is the Doom of Macchiato. The Enrage boss, TMD.
All right, let me look. But also he's not in Korend.
Well, he's on Varlamore, which is close enough. It's like US and Canada. It's all North America.
Yeah, it's like Ireland and England, right?
Let's not do that. It's probably more akin to Ireland and England than it is US and Canada, given what we know about the countries so far.
Yeah.
But you know, we're not gonna make that comparison.
All right, but what's the deal with this boss?
So we don't know much about it, but it's an Enrage boss. So if you guys have ever done Zammy or any of the new God Wars dungeon bosses, or most famously Telos from RS3, the Enrage mechanic kind of works like the Colosseum, where you'll kill the boss. You can either loot your shit or kill the boss again when it's stronger. And there'll be like a percent enraged. So it'll be like, you know, I know there's like the 4,000 or 5,000% enraged Telos is apparently a pretty big achievement for people in RS3. I don't know nothing about that because I ain't never done anything like that. I don't even know what Telos looks like. I just heard of the boss. But we're getting one of those in OSRS, which should be fun.
So it's like
It's gonna
TOA
be fun.
invocations, but they didn't even pretend that it's interesting.
It's
It's just health and damage
It's
scaling.
a mix of. I don't know. I've never seen
Yeah,
an
Michael's
enraged boss in RS3 to know. Oh yeah, Michael's here. He's on vacation. He's just like he's like out with the family.
Let's
he's
go.
indisposed. Yeah. No, he's in the booth. We were talking about it
Michael.
yesterday in the stream. Oh no, he's not here anymore. He
Aw.
left.
Boo.
We were talking about it yesterday in the stream. He's like, I'll probably pop it. I'm like, you're the most FOMO motherfucker I know. You're gonna be in here for sure. The minute you get an opportunity, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. Um, so good to see him. But
There's also
yeah,
going to be a low intensity boss, they said. That'll be
well, that's in
interesting.
addition to the enraged boss. So the
Yeah.
enraged boss is gonna be like awakened Leviathan level hard. Um, but the low intensity boss is a sand crab
I
group
see that.
boss. People in the stream last night were calling him Big Sandy, and I really want that name to stick. So we gotta push for Big Sandy.
Justice for Big
Um,
Sandy.
justice for Big Sandy. Uh, I'm so excited for this stupid AFK boss that you can kill because it's. I think the concept is like a giant sand crab that doesn't do a lot of damage that all players can just AFK on to get combat XP at a time.
Yeah.
Which, like, if that's the case, that's so good.
That's funny.
Like, that's a world boss we need right there.
Oh boy. Man,
That's a world
speaking
boss
about
we
world
need.
bosses.
Give Big Sandy 150,000 health. Needsy says stars but combat. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Stars but combat.
I
100%.
saw somebody had a recommendation for basically like the stars, but for agility training. It would be people from Varlamore. There's like a traveling circus, and they're doing a game of limbo, and you just have to click to get in line for the game of limbo. And your guy just like slowly walks through the line of limbo and then like goes under the bar, and it's like very silly. Somebody in response was like, what if there were just treadmills that fell from the sky and you ran on them? Yeah, hamster
That would
wheel
be
falls out of the
ideal.
sky would be very good.
That would be ideal.
But yeah, I
But
think I mean I don't really know what a low intensity boss even means. Like at that point, is it a boss?
I think,
Surely
like,
it won't drop uniques at that point. Like that.
it'll probably have a pet.
eh, Yeah.
It'll be. I'm picturing like scurriest level difficulty without scurriest level mechanics.
Scurriers will slap the shit out of you if you're low level and you're bad at the game.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Without scurriest
So,
mechanics.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I think ways to train combats that incentivize people to do things other than train it. Well, at this point, normal sand crabs, because sand crab boss. I'm for it.
Yeah, and I don't have to fight with anyone on sand crabs. W, all for it. Because Lord knows we hate sand crabs in this house.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with Varlamore
Overall,
is going to be good.
Varlamore Part 1 was incredible, so I am very optimistic for Parts 2 and 3.
Exactly. I'm less optimistic, however, about Wrathmaw. Speaking of world bosses,
Yes.
less optimistic about Wrathmaw. Did you read anything?
This is the
about,
one that I know the most about, but tell the people what Rathmon is.
It's a it's a wilderness world boss. It's RuneScape's first world boss, and Wrathmaw is a big old worm, like a sandworm kind of thing, and it's gonna pop out of the ground and attack players 3 times a day across 5 different worlds. Which means I don't know if that means it spawns 3 times or 15 times.
I think so. There will be 5. There will be like 5 Rathmont worlds, and he will spawn 3 times per day in those 5 worlds.
And okay, the only thing it drops is Wrathmaw teeth, which can be turned in for ether. You need 1,000 teeth to fortify weapons. So it's like a fortified AGS, volatile nightmare staff, and dark bow as spec weapons that can be used in the wilderness, charged with ether. And also an amulet that'll help you kill Wrathmaw faster.
Yeah. and a like hybrid shield that's between the Obby shield, Malediction ward, and Odium ward.
Yeah, yeah, that as well, and teleports that
Oh yeah,
allow you to
teleports
teleport
that let
anywhere
you.
in the wilderness that have a 20-second out of combat timer.
Oh
You
my
need to be out of
God.
combat for 20 seconds,
And
it's
it's a
a
5-second
5-second
animation.
animation.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is starting to get into like, okay, this isn't even Old Man Yells at Clouds. This is just bad game design. Stop making shit that works differently in the wilderness, especially when your game is terrible about telling players information about how the game works. Oxie, do you know how anything works in the wilderness at this point?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. But like all the different exceptions between items, like when you can teleport and who you can get PJ'd by, and when do anglerfish overheal you, Oxy? Nobody knows.
Out of combat.
But what is out of combat? How long do you have to be out of combat?
Well,
Nobody knows.
when you're at the big bosses, it's as soon as the big boss dies.
Yeah, but I think that's different than how this teleport's going to work. 20 seconds, you can eat an anglerfish way sooner than 20 seconds. Every single thing has its own little thing. Every single thing doesn't make any sense. And they're... I don't know.
Yeah, it's... This boss... Look, the enhanced weapons sound cool. 5-tick AGS, 5-tick Dark Bow, Volatile Nightmare Staff that does like 3 times the amount of damage. Cool. Michael told me yesterday, he said, you should put yourself in the shoes of a PVMer or a PvPer. Which, you know, even if I do that, I don't like the design of this boss. Not because PvP bad and I don't want to get killed. Because this is a chore.
Yeah.
This boss is dailyscape now. It's not a fun, like, hey, let's get the boys together and go kill Rathmaw. It's, you know, honey, it's time to kill Rathmaw. Like, yes, dear. Like, it's that. And the idea that it only spawns on 5 worlds 3 times a day, so a max of 15 spawns per day. You don't know what time it's going to spawn. I imagine... If we say it spawns at the same times, like I think Nate Dogg yesterday said it was like 3 a.m. BST, 11 a.m. BST, and then 20 BST, so 8 o'clock. Yeah, I think it's 8 o'clock BST. That was the Armageddon breaches
Interesting.
in Deadman mode. I'm not 100% sure that that's going to carry over, because ideally they would pick different time zones and be like, you know, yeah, we have America and we have Australia, and then the times fluctuate on the worlds for the players. But let's say they stick with 3, 11, and 20. Get fucked, mate. You're at work.
Yeah.
Like what happens if you work nights or you work doubles or something like that, and like, you know, you have a kid.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you can go kill this boss like Vorkath or Zelra for like a chill hour.
Yeah.
You know. If you're gone that day when Rathmaw spawns, whamp, whamp. Like, this isn't even a boss I'd want to put on a bingo board.
No, you couldn't. You literally could. It's like a history.
Yeah, it's so time-gated
Yeah.
that it's a chore.
Yeah.
And it's not... But it's not even, like, a rewarding chore. Like, this thing's going to have 50,000 hit points, and the entire time you're going to be getting ganged on by... PKers.
Some of the places it will spawn are in singles, they said. Like,
here's my thing about that.
Attack. Everybody can still attack the boss, but
everybody can still attack the boss, but are you going to be focusing more on attacking the boss, or are you going to be focusing more on defending yourself from the guy trying to kill you?
I mean,
hear me out. We go to a single combat zone when Rathmaw spawns. We get our entire clan out there, and all we do is we just PJ people who are trying to kill the boss. We PJ them, we bolt rag them, so they have to worry about us and Rathmaw at the exact same time. It's the same problem that Revenant Maledictus has. Where, yeah, you can attack Revenant Maledictus, but you're also trying to manage the guy trying to attack you.
Yeah. Maledictus was actually what I was going to bring up, in that I actually think the fact that other people can attack you is not that relevant there. Like, I've only done it a few times for bingo, but we were never really, like, obviously you're always getting attacked at revs, but I didn't feel like I was in any particularly more danger at the Maledictus than I was at normal revs.
Always at more danger. There are people who hop around looking for Maldictus to kill PVMers.
Fair enough.
It's
How would you feel? So, okay, we're assuming how it will spawn that the three times a day on 5 worlds, they're all at the same time. Would you feel any better about it if it was essentially throughout the day there are 15 times that it spawns? Does that help at like this
Nope.
world 3 times, this world 3 different times? Do you care?
Nope. It does not make me feel better at all, because then it feels like I can't even maximize my potential to kill Rathmaw unless I commit to being available for 18 hours in the day.
Well, but then I think at that point, maximizing it is less important, right? You can hop on and at any given time. Also, I don't know how long it'll take to kill the boss, right? Is it going to be dead in 5 minutes or is it going to be dead in half an hour? That I don't know. But at that point, I think it's a little more, oh, hey, I can go do Rathmaw kind of whenever I want. At most, I'll have to wait like an hour and I will find out what world it's going to be on. Like, that still sucks, and like I doubt that there's going to be any good information in game again about like what world it's spawning on. So it's just relying on this is not an intended segue, but relying on RuneLite plugins that will be in the official game. But yeah, overall, and I'm also just like, they finally at least listened where people were like, stop putting uniques on the wilderness because we don't like that, because we don't want to go do PVM in the wilderness to get these uniques and feel like we're forced there. So they were like, okay, now we're just going to put stuff that is money. It's literally just money, but disguised as fake uniques, and they're convoluted and they're going to work different. And
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I think in addition to it being Dailyscape, Mod Mank needs a word limit. That's what we decided last night in the stream. Mod Mank is allowed to say 10 words at RuneFest total on stage. Then shut the hell up. I don't like when people are like, hey, this is not designed for you. This is not designed for you to do and enjoy. When we talk about Scurious, right? When we talk about Scurious being designed for a specific group of players, when we talk about Quakeodal being designed for a specific group of players, no other JMod says, hey, if you have Torva and a Scythe, fuck off. Yeah. Hey, if you have Fighter Torso and a Dragon Scimitar, fuck off. This content isn't for you. Go away. It's not for you. Yeah. This man gets on there and he says, well, it's not designed for PVMers. It's designed for PvPers. So if you're a PVMer, just don't engage with it. Yeah. What's the point? Oh, it's for PvPers to get their cool PvP weapons. But what are we gonna do? Is the PvP community also really, really good at PVM?
Yeah, and
is that a thing
I
that's
can't help
happen?
but notice that the uniques don't come from PvP. They come from PVM.
They don't. Mm-hmm.
Like,
so, yeah, I get it. You want to chum the water and have people be out in the wilderness. People don't like that. Yeah. If you're gonna chum the water, we need like 350 mil worth of stuff, because we're gonna be killing this thing with like. Obviously, it's gonna be the Revenant weapons. Yeah. It's gonna be best in slot, but we're gonna be taking Revenant weapons, 2 other items, then dog shit out there. Yeah. So unless you're trying to incentivize killing other PvP or killing other PKers, Raccoon, why would you go to the other fucking thing? What is wrong?
Is he no longer it's like at the same urinal as you?
Bro, he went to the one next to me. It's like I'm at MLM all over again.
SMH.
Jesus Christ. This man has me in shambles.
Yeah, overall, like, I'm skeptical about world bosses in general. Like, when I saw, oh, we're getting the first world boss, I was like, I don't even know how I feel about that. But then when they were like, oh, it's in the wilderness, I was like, okay. Now we're just trolling. Like, and
this post that Tiki sent, dude, if every player currently logged into RuneScape wanted 1 weapon each from Rathmaw, it would take over 100 years. What the hell, dude? Yeah. That's crazy.
It sure is something else. My concern is that then they're gonna be like, they kind of pitched it in a way where it's like, oh, we're gonna make it better, when in reality, like, oh, we'll buff the rates or make it easier to get the weapon. It's more that we just don't want this boss, man. This is just not
I
a
really
thing
don't.
that we want.
I seldom vote no, and I seldom say like, "Hey, you guys should vote no." Um, you guys can do whatever the hell you want. I'm voting no on this boss.
Yeah.
I am voting a big no. Um, I think it would be kind of funny to like be out on a wilderness slayer task, just like casually killing green dragons, and then Rathmaw shows up and just like ruins your day. It
Yes.
just like ruins your day entirely. Like, that could be pretty funny. Um, I think the design is fine. I think the design is neat, right? It's very spooky. Yeah, I just don't want it.
Yeah. It
I don't want this in the
I think
game.
one of the tragedies, I think the way they redesigned the wildy bosses are mostly great. One of the tragedies, though, is that the wilderness feels less dangerous when there's not like scary fucking monsters just like that you can run into on accident. Because they used to be on the overworld, and now they're in their own little caves. I wish that in the redesign they could have kept them in the overworld, because it is very fun for the wilderness to like feel dangerous both from players and by like scary monsters. So that would be
The scary monsters would make it fun. Don't get me wrong. It's just I don't know, man.
no.
I don't
Overall,
think it doesn't.
I'm
fit.
100,000% voting no. The only part of it that I would, yeah, Nuke Moose. All the wildy bosses used to just be, they were vaguely up in the like northeast kind of quadrant of the wildy where they currently are, but they were all just in the overworld walking around. I still have
They had wander areas of the old, because it was the big three that we know now. Used to not be in caves and used to be mechanically horrible to kill.
Oh yeah.
And that's part of the reason why they were scary. If you tried to fight them like you did these new bosses, like Venenatis had a 9-tile melee range.
You get your shit
Venenatis
rocked.
could melee you from the distance of a T-bow. Like it was ridiculous.
But every single one of them had a jank as hell safe spot, and that's the only way anybody killed them. And
yeah.
So
my first like 1100 Venenatis were all in the old safe spot way, and yeah, kind of like Chaos Elemental, but so much worse.
oh yeah, they
so
would
much significantly worse.
demolish you.
They're so bad, dude. And their max hits were like 60.
Oh
dude.
yeah,
Like, they really were. They were frightening.
Yeah.
So I think we understand why that doesn't work.
No, I think it's something that genuinely would have worked if they were less tanky. Their defense was so fucking high, especially before we had rev weapons.
Comically high,
Yeah,
dude. You just have to take Verax out there to kill them, because they'd have like 450 defense.
Yeah.
It was stupid. It was bad.
Yeah. The only time I ever killed any of them normally, during one of the bingos, I think it was the last bingo before they did the update, we killed Callisto as a team, and there were like 6 of us with wieldy weapons, and we were still getting tossed around by Callisto, because he would have an attack that would I think it's similar to the attack he currently has, where he like throws you back if you don't protect mage, but he could just do it whenever, and people were getting yeeted left and right. It was very funny.
So it didn't matter what now if you protect mage, you don't get thrown back, you don't get hit, right? Back then, it didn't matter what you were protecting. Callisto would fire a wave at you. You would get pushed back for 60 damage. It was a flat 60 damage every time he did that. There was no like mitigating that back in the day. Vedion used to have the lightning that would hit you every single time. Venenatis had like 4 or 5 different variations of attack. She had like a poison attack, a melee attack that could hit you from downtown, a magic attack. I feel like she had a stat reducing attack too, or something. Like the old bosses were so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
They were in the game.
Rathmaw ain't it.
Yeah, no, Rathmaw not it.
Oh my god, wait a second. Hold on. I'm reading. I just saw the word and I need to read through to make sure. It's still in the early design phase, so we're not going to divulge every possible mechanic right now. Keep things simple so players don't get overwhelmed. Might be fun to watch y'all scramble to do Akka's memory game in the middle of a PvP bloodbath. The joke would get old fast. Looking for mechanics that are simple to outmaneuver and extremely well telegraphed because they'll be easy to avoid. We plan to make them reasonably punishing, so watch your step. So that's the Callisto 60 damage or whatever. Full complement of protection prayers, although the most savvy explorers will have them already, whatever. Lastly, it's likely the boss will have some sort of teleblock move.
Sick. That's actually just what I was hoping for.
And come back. This should avoid scenarios the meta becomes bringing a little risk as possible and constantly resetting.
Good. That's actually what I was hoping for, is that you would not be able to teleport. That's, now I was a little off board, but now I'm back on board that you're literally just trapped there. In fact, honestly, don't just have him teleblock, have him ice barrage you. You actually can't move
freeze him in place
while you're fighting him or teleport.
I hope
wrap
it
you
has
up.
two tick attacks.
He has a special attack where he wraps you up in a little bow and hands you to the PKers. He unequips all your weapons too. If your inventory is full, sorry, your items got deleted. They're put in a chest called a Rathmaw's chest, and when a PKer kills you, they get a loot key and they get to get all of your stuff. You didn't get to use it to fight back, but they get it. It's their property now.
Rathmaw has a new special attack that actually takes away 1,000,000 hit points XP every time it hits you. So you just you permanently lose HP. And it's on a 2-tick cycle. So have fun avoiding that one.
It is funny that like something like negative XP lamps that would actually just be for PvP, and you could have them come from like a PvP minigame. That's something that they're like, no, don't be ridiculous. That has no place in our game. But a monster that teleblocks you that only gives wilderness weapons. And is on a dog shit MMO. Actually, we're going to introduce microtransactions where you can spawn Rathmaw once per day on your own in a private instance.
So to kind of bring it back what we were saying earlier, to discourage world hopping, we plan on having it appear in some world or other at all hours of the day. Sorry.
So that does make it sound like it's going to be... There's 5 worlds. It'll spawn like on world 1 at 10 a.m. on world 2 at 11:30.
It just I read that wrong. I fumbled it. We plan to avoid having a world boss appear in some world at all times of day. Instead, we want these spawns to feel like a big community event, something for your friends to look forward to. Probably not. With that in mind, we'll be aiming for an infrequent spawn rate, likely somewhere in the 3-a-day ballpark we've used for breaches. Historically, these times have been 3, 11, and 20 BST to keep things fair for players across time zones. This frequency, or lack thereof, helps control the influx of rewards, which means they'll retain higher value and make the boss more profitable overall. That, to me, sounds like we're getting 3...
that does
3 spawns a day. That doesn't sound like they're going to rotate it per world time.
It seems like they are conflicted. Because the first sentence you said of, like, we want it to be all hours of the day.
No, I fumbled that. To discourage constant world hopping, we plan to avoid having a world boss appear in some world or another at all hours of the day. It literally said we want to avoid the world boss frequently being in places.
Okay. I'm going to engage with it for a minute. If they're going to do, like, let's say they get rid of polling and they're saying they're putting this in anyway. 3 a day is not fun. Like, I get that you want it to be infrequent. Have it be infrequent, but 3 times a day, like Oxie said, is not fun. You can't. That's gonna feel like a daily because there's only gonna be one for you reasonably per day.
Yeah, because I'm not killing this thing at work, and I'm not staying up late to kill this thing. So the only time slot that if they keep 3, 11, and 20 BST, I can kill it at Well, 11, 5 past 11, that's 6 a.m. Not doing that. 5, 4 or 5 back from 20, that's 15, 16, 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern time. Also going to be at work. So my only option would be,
Like 10 p.m.
what is that? 10 or 11 p.m., depending on what time of year it is. 10 or 11 p.m. Because I'm pretty sure BST is British summertime, which is not the same as UTC or GMT. And I think that's the one that shifts by an hour. So,
I will say the idea of Rathmaw respecting daylight savings time in the real world is very funny to me.
yeah, base this off the in-game clock, the UTC in-game clock. All right, Team D, do you want good? Do you want bad? Or do you want middle of the road?
We just went bad. Give me middle of the road, then we'll go bad, then we'll go good.
Curse of Arav and the giant bosses.
This is middle. I'm scared if this is middle of the road. So, okay. Curse of Arav, whatever. Tired of RS3 backports.
Sure. I'm not tired of RS3 backports. The one thing I'll say about Curse of Arav, it could have been Lord of Vampirium, but that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think
that was my biggest thing.
We're getting progress for Ritual of the Majorat, which is gonna be hype as shit. I don't know anything about Ritual of the Majorat. I've not played the quest in RS3, and when that bitch comes to OSRS, that's a take the day off of work quest for sure. That shit is gonna be insane. Any quest that requires Desert Treasure 2, I've said it a million times on this show, is gonna go gangbusters. That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. I agree.
But oh my god, let's keep showing small little quests. Like as we saw with While Gothic Sleeps, their definition of master and grandmaster in 2009 versus master and grandmaster in 2024 are very different quests.
Yeah.
Oxie forgets how to build the story, first of all, and that was Michael who said that in the recording booth chat, by the way. So just in case you thought I wasn't going to get to put the gloves on against your favorite Xpwaste podcast co-host, I know how to build a story, Michael. I recognize how to build a story. I also think that when you're taking time out of a big summit and a big reveal to say, hey guys, we're backporting another quest. We're doing the same thing again that we've done for the last 2 or 3 summits in a row. It just gets stale at some point. Tiki said Xpwaste can make a quest. I've seen it happen. I think I'm going to quit the show, and TMD is going to take that one. Have you listened to that episode, TMD?
I have not listened to that one.
Do yourself a favor. Don't. It is, without question, the worst episode in our catalog when we design a quest. So I don't remember when that was. I blacked out that time frame from my memory, but I know it's within the last year. It takes 2 to make a terrible episode. Michael, let me tell you, it was bad. It was such a bad episode.
I did not expect you to say don't listen to it.
Oh, dude, it's... Oh,
goodness.
Curse of Arav's going to be fine.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be cool. I think it has been a very cool questline. There's so many cool questlines in RuneScape that I would rather be getting some amount of progress on than just mainlining this questline. I feel like we haven't gotten any serious progress on any existing questlines other than this one in a long time.
We got what's the goblin something?
Land of the Goblins?
Yeah, was that it?
That was 2 years ago at this point.
Well, we got that one. We technically got a follow up.
Oxie, Land of the Goblins was 2.5 years ago. Also, isn't the follow up to Devious Minds part of the Ritual of the Majorat?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. So technically, we did get a follow up there. So what are the active quest lines?
I mean, we've got all penguins. The Varlamore stuff, which
that's gonna be so good. Yeah. We've got penguins, we've got slugs,
Monkey Madness,
got vampires. Monkey Madness is kind of well wrapped up though.
Yeah,
Monkey Madness is pretty well wrapped up.
The White Knight quest line, which is the slugs.
technically we've got
We got all the
Kingdom Divided.
vampires.
But if I were a betting man, I would say the sequel to A Kingdom Divided is probably going to come in the form of Varlamore Part 3.
Yeah.
There's going to be a master or a GM quest that's like now Zaya's getting involved.
Yeah.
It's going to be
You know what
good.
we've got that we haven't gotten a new quest in a long time? The Goblin quest line. You just said it. It's been 2.5 years.
No, it hasn't.
I checked February 2022, Oxie.
No, you're lying. You're lying to me. Oh my God,
That'll
February
fuck you
9th,
up, right?
2022. Oh my God, we've been doing this show for so long. Holy shit. Holy shit, we've been doing this show for so long. That does not feel like a 2.5-year-old quest.
I know.
Yeah, I think I'll compare it to this, right? It's about the same level of exciting as like Ant-Man 2 or Captain Marvel when those movies came out.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, I'll go see them because they're part of a story that I care about, but I want to know what happens in the next Avengers movie. That's why I'm going to see them.
You know what I want to get another quest in? Give me the fucking Fremy quest line, dude. Who is V? Do we get to meet V? Do we get to fight V? Like, give it to me, baby.
Could do.
I just pulled up this quest series line.
V is their folklore hero. Tiki's about to rip your lore.
Listen, I understand that we probably know who V is, if you can figure it all out. But speaking of things Tiki might know about, you see, people think they might know where the last token in Varlamore comes from. There's a dude who sent a screenshot that he got one wood cutting, and people were like, "This is obviously a hoax." And then a week later, somebody from the wiki was like, "Hey, we think based on like all these data plugins that like that was probably real." Yeah, they were all dicks about it
the whole time.
The red token community is so funny to me. They're so confident in all of the things that they think, and I don't know. We don't need to get into that. I haven't really interacted with it that much, but it's a weird community.
We were on stream last night, and when Aiza asked, I forgot the name of the J mod. When Aiza asked the mod, I think it was maybe Mod Halo, when he asked like, "Where's the last red token?" and he's like, "Honestly," and he paused for a while. I don't know where it is. I'm like, dude, Michael Tiki just had a heart attack, dude. Tiki's rolling in his grave right now.
Yeah.
Oh man. Michael says the reason we're not likely to get new quest lines finished is because of the reward space and this player base's need for items, rewards, rather than just good story and experience. I mean, I think a good reward is the point of doing it. It's always been the point of doing a quest, right? Even as far back as like the first Dragon Slayer quest, the reward was being able to wear the rune plate body and show off your prowess, right? Like, there's always been a sense of prestige and reward with doing quests.
And I think
the trouble is, how do we balance it? Because like some of the quest rewards, like a new prayer book or these new prayer rites, the Gothixian rites or whatever they were from While Gothic Sleeps. Like While Gothic Sleeps felt like a very empty quest as far as rewards are concerned. Desert Treasure 2 also felt like a bit of an empty quest reward wise because you didn't get like the big thing. Like Prif was the big thing. The backpack was the big thing.
I'm gonna interject. I could not disagree more strongly about. So okay, Desert Treasure 2. But first, you get the Ring of Shadows, which is like a nice hybrid ring that's free. It's a cool reward. And also you get to fight 4 bosses that have best in slot rings and very good. Like, that's the reward there. And then While Gothic Sleeps has the Tormented Demons and all of their shit. You don't get a direct quest reward, I will give you that. But you unlock access to really cool rewards.
Which, yes, is certainly something. It's just, I think the trouble is knowing that we could have gotten more. I think for people who had no idea what the development of Desert Treasure 2 and While Gothic Sleeps were like, they're going to think the rewards are pretty neat. but I think the lack of like we knew we almost got a new prayer book. We played with the ruinous powers and leagues, and then we almost got these new prayer enhancements from Wild Gothic Sleeves. We knew what they were, and then they took them away.
I'm
Right? Like,
yeah. I don't actually remember if we've talked about it. I was very anti new prayers and Gothixian rites. So I'm glad that they took them away. I just don't think it fit.
they just weren't in the right spot. Like, that's the problem. They couldn't get them right. Like, they didn't get the ruinous powers right because it was just a direct upgrade on the standard prayer book, and then they didn't get the Gothixian rites or whatever they were. Somebody's gonna know the name, but you know the original word from Gothic Sleeps. They didn't feel good. They just felt like redemption with extra steps, kind of a thing. Like, I don't know.
I will also say, I think that some of my favorite recent quests are ones that are like very silly, have no bearing on the overall quest line of RuneScape, don't necessarily give you rewards. Like, what is the quest that people talk the most about from Varlamore? It's the fucking Riveting Tales, brother.
Michael's still
Cuthbert
not
the
done
Invincible is
add Cuthbert to Nightmare Zone, please,
yeah,
dude.
well,
Please
and even
add Cuthbert to Nightmare Zone.
yeah, one of my favorite quests that has come out within the past. I mean, I guess it's been 4 years at this point. Getting Ahead. Getting Ahead is a fun quest. It's really well made. If you go do it and you're not using like the quest guide or anything, every item you need is found nearby. It's just a really well done quest. It's really fun.
They've been doing that a lot recently.
Yeah.
Where like all of the like, oh, you need a hammer, you need a chisel, you need rope. Like, whenever you need that shit, it's like always nearby. We talked to Mod Rice about that right after Varlamore came out.
Yeah.
That shift in like, hey, let's make quests not a total piece of shit to do on day one. Oh,
Yeah. It's
that's
so
good.
fun. Like, and I don't, it doesn't need to be like super obvious in your face. Like, you don't need to talk to someone and they're like, here's all of the rope and hammer you will need to do this quest. But like, it's in the environment, and that's really fun. And those kinds of quests, granted, like, people aren't gonna like get super excited about just like, hey, we're gonna make a fun quest that's gonna give you like 10k fletching XP and you're gonna have fun. Nobody's gonna be like, hell yeah, but I am. Like, that's very fun to me, and I want more of that.
We'll get more of that with Varlamore.
We will.
I think,
exactly.
I know Mod Jerv is doing like a murder mystery quest, and she apparently like just like had a field day making a bunch of suspicious NPCs. So I feel like with Murder Mystery 2 or whatever Mod Jerv is cooking up, that's gonna be funnier than shit. That's gonna be the riveting tale of the Rising Darkness. How do we feel about the Giants?
Real quick, I had one last thing. The way I've been trying to catch up on the Summer Summit is like going to the OSRS YouTube video or YouTube channel and watching the stuff. The video about what I assume the quest you were just talking about, it's called something like "We Put a Dog with Glasses and a Mustache in Old School RuneScape," and I'm very excited about that.
It's gonna be real good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be stupid. I can't wait.
Okay. How do I feel about the giant bosses? It's funny that you said this is the mid section. I feel very strongly in two very different ways about it. So one is like a very minor thing that they could very easily change, but they had talked about getting rid of like giant keys and mossy keys. And I think that's a terrible idea. This is very Old Man Yells at Clouds, but like the smoothing out of every single experience in old school RuneScape is something that I genuinely dislike very much. And it makes everything not monotonous, but like kind of samey and boring. And it gets rid of some of the charm and flavor of what makes me care about old school RuneScape as a unique video game. And going back, like looking back to where I think this started and some major examples, I think it started with having a teleport directly to Barrows. I mean, this is forever ago, but adding a Barrows teleport, yeah, Old Man Yells at Clouds for sure. But But like the teleport directly to Barrows, everybody was like, hell yeah. But there were so many interesting ways to get to Barrows, and you would like slowly unlock better ones over the course of your account. And now it's literally just teleport straight there. And the same thing with like
with an 83 magic requirement.
Yeah, but you can also get teleport tablets. I don't know. And then the next thing that's similar that everybody other than me liked, and so I know I'm just an old man yelling at clouds, is the DK's shortcut. DKs are not a interesting boss. Like, they're pretty boring. I love doing DKs, but like I genuinely think that the run to DKs adds to like the environment and the mystique of DKs. It's like if they got rid of the God Wars KC at God Wars. Like, they've made it easier over time.
They did. That's called ecumenical
No,
keys,
but that's different
dog.
too. I don't know. It's one of those things where like not everything needs to be super streamlined and smooth. We have a lot of super streamlined and smooth stuff. Leave some stuff janky. It's what makes old school interesting. I don't know. I saw Michael said they're not getting rid of the keys. They're not using it as a mechanic for the new bosses. I do not know. I believe you. I was like reading.
They're not getting rid of the keys. They're not doing keys for these giants.
That's fine. No, that's totally
which
fine.
I think is good because to have a fire and an ice giant in the same encounter tells me you need to get 2 different keys. And wow, that sounds shitty.
Yeah, no, that sounds awful.
Hill giants and moss giants are super quick to kill. Cannonball, blowpipe, no problem, easy to do. Fire giants, those sound horrible. Where's the best place to cannon ice giants? Probably the deep wilderness or the wilderness
Slayer cave by a lot.
Like that doesn't sound fun to like grind for those keys. And I know grinding for keys in the wilderness is a lot better than grinding for keys somewhere that's not the wilderness. And I don't hate that mechanic, but I think because there's 2 of them, having to get 2 halves of a key to fight these bosses from different giants sounds terrible. So I'm glad they're not doing a key thing for these. I get your point, and I think there is a lot of charm that goes into the uniqueness of a lot of these boss fights. But
my other thing,
when we're talking quality of life, man.
My other thing, so I think it's cool to add the fire giant and ice giant boss. Odd that they're together, and very negative about the fact that it's going to be members while ice giants exist and are a free-to-play monster, but that the ice giant boss is going to be combined with the fire giant boss and therefore be members only. Like they explicitly said it'll be members only. That I'm actually pretty negative on.
I think it's actually a fun story beat. They're saying it's supposed to be like the Fire Queen is coming for the Ice King's kingdom, and what I'm actually hoping to see is we are involved in a 1v1v1 and the bosses are fighting each other, and there's going to be cool methods where you can drag the bosses into one another. Like if like the ice giant's charging an attack and he launches it and you drag the fire giant into it, you can do damage. Like I think that's going to offer a really fun engaging fight if they're both trying to beat the shit out of each other, and then maybe they both turn their aggro toward you because you're like, who are you? You're intruding in our space, you know? As long as it's not like grotesque guardians where, because we have that where you were 2 bosses are trying to kill you at a time. I want the bosses to kill each other.
Yeah.
Michael said enemies to lovers, what if they kiss?
I mean,
maybe.
Michael,
maybe that's how you beat them.
Now you're talking, Michael. Like, what if giants, but they, got a little kissing after? What if giants, but instead of dying, they kissed each other? Anyway,
you fight them the entire time and they realize that they've actually loved each other. Oh my God.
I actually, I want it to be the big guy from Kingdom of Miscellanea.
This is that big old boy.
Overall, I think it's cool. I agree. I think having one, on the other hand, the only boss that we have where there's 2 at the same time right now is Grotesque Guardians, and that sucks major ass. So hopefully they've learned their lessons from that. I think it's a really cool design space. I am unhappy that the Ice Giant boss will not be free to play because it will be wrapped in. But overall, I think it'll be cool.
I hope you can hit them both at the same time too. That would be fun.
Yeah. Just please
Like,
don't
if
make
you
it
could-
phases. Like, you just made a cool Slayer boss and learned lessons from what's bad about other Slayer bosses. Please learn from what we've done with bosses where there's multiple enemies. Learn your lessons.
Yeah.
Don't have like phases where you can't interact with the boss.
You said you wanted to go good or bad?
Bad next. We'll finish up on good. I think I might have a
All
very
right,
different
you
opinion
guys.
on what I think you're gonna say is bad.
All right, you guys, take a seat, strap in. It's time. Michael said, please don't be cringe. Oh, he's not even here to pipe up. And if he does pipe up, he can't hear him because we're not recording his desktop audio. So, community servers, arguably the worst suggested update I have seen ever to old school RuneScape. Private servers for an MMO, stinky, crusty, gross.
All right. We're going to disagree very strongly. Fight. I think... Okay, people say that exact line. Private servers crusty for an MMO. Yes, 100%. However, Oxie, what is the most popular video game in the world?
Minecraft.
How do you tend to play Minecraft?
In a single player world.
Well, yeah, that's because you're a fucking weirdo. If any
I was
of
gonna
you,
say I go 50,000 blocks away from like giga nerd
if any of you
friends
have
who are
ever
like,
had,
Hey guys, welcome to the Minecraft server. We killed the dragon in the first 10 minutes.
if any of you have
Do you
ever had
need
the
iron? Here's
displeasure of
50,000.
playing on a Minecraft server with Oxie, it turns out you actually are not playing on a Minecraft server with Oxie because he is nowhere to be found. It's very funny.
Here's my problem. Here's my problem with a Minecraft server with other people. You motherfuckers took all of the fun out of mining and crafting.
I do agree with you on that.
Motherfuckers made it your life's work to make iron farms and villager farms and slave trading things. And we're going to get all these emerald farms and diamond farms. And we're going to make it so you can spawn 50 cows and kill them all at the same time. You'll never need food again. What is the fucking point of playing the game at that point? What's your end goal? You're killing the dragon, not for the experience of killing the dragon, but you can get an Enderman XP farm and to get the Elytra so you can travel around your farms quicker. Fuck you. That's not the point of the game. You have ruined Minecraft at that point. I want no part of it.
I do agree with you.
I will respawn the dragon myself. You can fuck off. I'm going to go 50,000 blocks away and enjoy the game. But I'll be on the same server and MVC with you if you want.
Yes, I agree with you on how a lot of people who stay super into Minecraft enjoy playing Minecraft. What I like to do for Minecraft is once every like 2 or 3 years, start up a new server and like just go mine a bunch and like build a cool building. And I want to do it with my friends on a server. That is what I like to do with Minecraft. I agree that like Redstone is fun from time to time, but like anyway. But the whole point is that the way people play Minecraft, for the most part, and I think is the way that's most fun to play Minecraft, is booting up a server with your friends, having a common idea about what it should be like, doing dumb shit, and maybe after a year you start over, you do a new one. Like, I actually think that would be a really fun way to play RuneScape, as someone who makes new accounts all the time and who really enjoys leagues and shit. And thinking about, I mean, this is starting to go very long term, and I don't know if this is how it will work. One day in the future, old school RuneScape the servers will shut down. That will happen. Maybe it's going to be in 20 years. Maybe it's going to be in 5 years. Who knows? It'll happen at some point. This lays the foundation for essentially like offline / privately hosted old school RuneScape after the death of old school RuneScape. And that's something that I also care very much about because this is a game a ton of people love, and having the ability to 30 years from now when you're fucking going through a midlife crisis, I guess that's later than a midlife crisis at this point. God, we're old.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's you're getting up there. You're
Listen,
gonna be
once we're in the
60, bro.
retirement home, genuinely, I think that this is a good step in the right direction towards like preserving the game of old school RuneScape for as long as people want it to exist. And
You
I
know
think it'll
what?
be really fun in the short and medium term to fuck around, make a all of the examples they gave. I'm like, hell yeah. You want to play with your friends where everyone is locked just to Mauritania or no one has the GE? That's really fun to me.
See, none of that sounds fun to me, and I got a couple of reasons. Yes, for the long-term health of the game, I think the idea of having RuneScape forever sounds like a great idea, right? All things end, but the day when we know this game is going to come to an end, wow, that's going to be a sad couple of months. That's going to be that's going to be like a death of a, loved one kind of a deal. That's going to be a sad day when RuneScape finally comes to a close. So yes, being able to play throughout, sure. In the short and medium term, right? What makes Swampletics a good series?
It's that it is an interesting new way to play the game.
It's an interesting new way to play the game, but it's based on the restrictions that are based on the framework of the game that you're already playing. What made Iron Man mode so interesting when it first started?
It's a different way to play the game.
Right? Different way to play the game, all within the confines of the game that we are talking about. All of these series, Gillinor Games, Swampletics, One Man Army, all of these things were interesting because it worked with what we had and kind of like made it more malleable. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Oxie, you're literally just talking about a private server. I think you lose something when you can say, hey, we're going to make a true Mauritania locked Iron Man with no exceptions. And we're going to, make it so that you can't leave, spawn in Mauritania and you can't leave Mauritania. Like,
yeah, so I actually agree with that part of it. I think that like constraints make the creativity, if that makes sense, right? Like, and you can attest to this. Well, maybe you never paid that close of attention. Going back to the Minecraft example, I actually don't really like using mods when I'm playing Minecraft. I think it makes the game less fun. It's like, oh, hey, like
the one map we had was cool.
Maps are cool, and like
we had a map in a server TMD and I were on years ago, back when we weren't taking bingo seriously enough, where it was a website that showed all of the explored chunks in both the overworld and the Nether, which was super cool because we could like see how the world was developing in real time. That piece was cool. But other than that, yeah, I play with like shaders and shit, but I don't really play with mods.
Yeah, I don't either. And I think having to work around how the game... This is also how I feel about how PvP should be. There shouldn't be shit that's different. Like, that, I think, is what the average person loved about PvP if they interfaced with it as a kid, was like, hey, it's just all the items that came from the game. I'm going to figure out the best ones, and I'm going to try to go kill people with them, instead of introducing shit just for it, I think, though, that the way that will be interesting, at least the way that I will like the private servers, is basically doing, like, pretty minor constraints on it and just, like, playing with people and coming up with our own stuff. The thing that I'm most negative about it is I actually do think it might have short, medium, and long-term negative effects on the health of the game, right? If you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, spreading out your player base over a larger and larger and larger options, it does make the MMO part of the game feel less alive. And I do think that that's something that is a real concern that they need to tackle in some way, because between leagues and Deadman mode and the main game, but also people have Iron Man and group, like, the way that people are experiencing the game is like becoming more and more fractured over time. And so then you have like more and more like niche groups who only care about different things, and you start to not be able to keep everybody happy because everybody now has like different priorities for what matters. And I think that is a serious concern that they need to both take seriously and do stuff about. And private servers, I think, turn that up to 11. So I think it needs to be handled delicately, but overall it's something.
Look,
that
I made
I'm
it work
excited
in my
about.
private server. Why can't you do it in the main?
Well, no, not that. Like, obviously, it'll be interesting. Like, is it going to be like essentially RuneLite plugins where you develop your own shit, or is it only going to be pre-made, like custom presets of stuff that Jagex puts out, and then when they put it out, you can make a server that does the thing? That'll be interesting to see how they implement it. But
There won't be a ton of information on that at the moment, unless I'm just missing it. But like,
no, it's probably really far out too.
it's probably very far out, probably still in development. I don't like that. I don't like that they're going to be splitting up the community even more. I don't like that people are going to say, well, like, you know what? We're going to just start our own RuneScape
With blackjack,
that doesn't have this shitty update. Exactly. I think someone in another Discord that we're in suggested like RuneScape sex mod is finally coming, which like, hooray. But I think community servers, they're not it, man. It also serves as a nightmare for bingos.
Yes.
I'm going to take a shot whenever, because I'm going to get a lot of DMs about this, I'm sure. And a lot of suggestions are going to pop up in Discord. TMD, we're playing a new game. Every time somebody suggests, let's start a private server for bingo, or let's do a bingo from level 3 everything, because we're going to start a new private server for it, we're going to take a shot. Whether it's gin or Patron or Clorox, I don't know what it's going to be. We're going to take a shot at something.
I've got my Tide Pods.
I have no desire to manage that, right? Unless there is some way to prove that the drop you received is on a private server, this could be the end of bingo. And I understand that's very doomer about it, and that's probably not going to be true. But like, imagine, for example, you're getting a zombie pirate scroll because Heartless hates you and the Raids Bank boys hate you, and they make you go get one from zombie pirates. If I boost the drop rate in my server by 20,000, I just make uniques 20,000 times more common. I'll kill 10 zombie pirates, take a screenshot with the code word, because theoretically it's going to run on the same framework, especially if RuneLite is involved in this. And then it's going to be like, oh, there it is. There's the scroll tile done.
Yeah. I mean,
you've got no way of knowing that I'm on a private server. You've got no way of knowing.
We will just essentially go back to... we're going to go full circle back to like essentially a bingo where you just have to trust people, which honestly then opens up the possibilities, but is something that is untenable and a nightmare for a bingo that has 500 people.
Yeah, for the events, we're going to be limiting them to 20 people apiece.
Yes. Although
me, Michael, and TMD are going to be captains. We're each going to have 6 players, 6 hand-selected players. Everybody else can get fucked. That's what bingos are going to turn into.
We're going to have like sub bingos where the winner gets to have entrance into the real bingo. Bingo tournament of champions.
So somebody suggested for this upcoming fall bingo, which you're not helping plan.
Listen,
by the way.
I know. I'm
suck.
Not only am I gone during bingo, I'm gone like 3 out of the
literally
4
the
weeks
entire planning process.
Bingo.
Dude, he's gone forever. No, dude. Somebody suggested for fall bingo we make it like the champions only bingo, where you have to be on a winning team. Like if you did not win a previous bingo, you can't enter, like the Hunger Games quarter quell. Yep. Which
I've stamped my pass, maybe. Did you?
I was gonna say you and I are in. Because we won. I won Springo 21, and you won Fall 21, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, you won the Trailblazer bingo because you guys got the Basilisk jaw.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Anyway, so I am concerned about the impact of the private servers, but I simultaneously think that the private servers could be very fun. You're talking to someone who has wanted to do everybody starts a new GIM group and we'll do a bingo like that. Like, that sounds fun to me. Can you imagine? That sounds like so much fun. So
No, it doesn't. It sounds like, oh, I'm starting this thing. I'm paying money to either make a new membership account for a new GIM, or I'm paying money to start a new private server that I'm going to be on for 6 days, and then the money's going to be gone. I think, what's the point of having a new league if you could just make leagues all the time?
that I agree
What's
with.
the point of having
pretty
Dead Man
strongly.
mode if you can just have Dead Man mode, which I know we have Dead Man mode all the time, but like, I feel this whole private server business just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. And I gotta say, for being one of my favorite content creators, Jimmy dropped the ball on the video. Did you watch the
I
video?
have not watched his video. There was one a while ago where he talked about it in general, and then I know he released one like with the Summer Summit. I have not watched either of them.
It was.
I think a lot of it, to be honest, Jimmy does not love old school RuneScape to just play and grind out, and that's totally fine. He enjoys it in a different way than the average person, and that's fine.
It's not the fact that like, he's not a real player.
No, I don't think that at all.
He engaged with the game a lot. It's the video was 12 and a half minutes long, and it never got to the point. It stopped being funny, and it never got to the point. And it was like, dude, just wrap it up.
Yeah, I haven't.
The video is not funny. They never really said what it was until it was at the very end. It was too long. Oh, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of the announcement at all. I don't want this. I don't want this.
Yeah.
And we can't vote on it either. This is literally this is the irritating part. Old school RuneScape has spawned from a shitty update that said, "Hey, we want to vote on these big potentially shitty updates going forward." So they said, let's make a fundamental change to how this game is going to work and give players the ability to open Jagex-sponsored private servers, but we're not going to let them vote on it. What the fuck?
Yeah, I've been pretty... I mean, the polling system has been slowly degrading over time, and now only the most absolutely egregious things get voted no at this point, and also getting rid of the Reef of the Armadillo crossbow, which is so funny, or whatever it was.
Oh, the nail beast.
The nail beast.
All right, dude. I'm sure you didn't listen to the episode. Sounds are very important in a fandom like this.
Yeah.
Sounds for any fandom are extraordinarily important, whether you understand it or not. If I changed the way a lightsaber sounded, it wouldn't be right. If I changed the way the T-Rex roared in Jurassic Park, it wouldn't be right. Something about it wouldn't be correct. If we change the soundboard, like if you go to RS3 and listen to how those weapons and things like that sound coming from old school, it doesn't sound right because your brain just has an unspoken association with it. And when you try to change the nail beast nail sound, knowing that it's this really high pitch, right? Like, that just feels bad. So, a terrible update. 0 out of 10.
I mean, they didn't do it. Okay.
Thank God.
I think
Thank God they didn't do it.
I agree overall that like the sounds are important. I think it's so funny that they were gonna change it. If they had just changed it, 0 people would have noticed and 0 people would have been upset. But the fact that they pulled it and we overwhelmingly said no is so funny, and I love it. And it also is the kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, then now they're just going to slowly stop pulling as many things. And that is annoying.
Tiki said, splitting up the community does not change how you play the game, right?
Yeah, I disagree with what Tiki said.
I disagree because let's say there's a really good, RuneScape SMP or whatever it is that comes out and everyone wants to go over to play that. Nobody's in the main game. Jagex isn't going to update private servers. Jagex is going to continue to update the main game.
I don't think that's the issue, at least to me. The issue is more, this opens... Once you've made the private servers, it fundamentally is going to change how they think about developing the game. And so the direction of the game will be changed. I don't think it's going to change overnight because of private servers. But if you imagine a timeline where in one timeline they don't introduce private servers and in another time they do introduce private servers, the way the game is going to evolve over the years in each of those timelines is going to be dramatically different just because of the existence of private servers. Whether or not it's going to be better or worse, it's hard for, like, they're going to think about updates with the existence of private servers in mind. They're going to spend time and resources and money coming up with cool ideas to introduce to private servers, things that people who care about private servers are going to care more about. This is true with Iron Man too, right? Like, imagine a world where Iron Man mode doesn't exist. Game updates that we've gotten over the past 10 years are going to be dramatically different than the ones we get now. There's a ton of, for better or for worse, there's a ton of things that cater to, hey, Iron Men exist and are a very popular game mode, so we need to design the game at least with them in mind. Maybe not design everything for them, but designing it with it in mind. And I think that will be very true with private servers as well. And so again, you're just fracturing the community into different segments. And so the people, like right now, Iron Men care about different things than people who don't have an Iron Man. And UIMs care about different things, and hardcores. And then now it's going to be, same with PvP. And once private servers exist, it's going to be people who primarily play on private servers are going to have different interests and different things they want out of updates than people who don't. And so it's going to kind of change the core design philosophy. I don't know how it's going to. I don't know if it's going to be better or worse, but it will change it.
Hey, to be a doomer, I'm not optimistic because all of those different groups, Iron Man's, hardcores, groupies, PvPers, PvMers, skillers, we're all in the same place.
Yeah.
We're all affected by the same updates.
Well, not PvPers.
You don't get
their updates work differently. Everything works differently.
Yeah, well, apparently, yeah. Well, go to a PvP world, or in the loving words of ModManked, just don't engage with that content.
True.
It's not for you.
Also, Michael, I disagree. So Michael said private servers already exist. This is just a less scummy way to do it. Y'all are acting like this is something we don't already have access to. I disagree with that so strongly. Yeah, Michael, have you ever played on a Runescape private server? I know for a fact you have not.
You and I know that ain't the thing, dog. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't make it seem like this is some, like, oh, you all play on RuneLite, so why are you saying it's bad that this stuff is coming to it? No,
well,
dude,
and that's also like people already real world trade, so Jagex should just introduce microtransactions to be able to buy gold for real money. I mean, I know bonds exist, but like, no, they should not just let you buy gold. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I don't like. I the only thing I think I'm on board with is the RuneScape could last forever with offline private servers.
Yeah, the only thing
I think that could be fun.
That could have already
every
happened
other
this.
piece. Oh my god, I'm just not here for it, dude.
My biggest thing, like that point, there's no guarantee that is what comes to pass anyway with them doing this, and there's no reason they couldn't have done that without doing this anyway. It just it lends some amount of hope to that being possible.
If I think, and this is going to be a very pessimistic take from your boy here, the best way these private servers shake out is they're super benign. The best way these private servers shake out is it's like a Minecraft SMP. It only affects a small group of people. It's the equivalent to like a realm or something like that, where like a couple people do it from time to time, and there's a small dedicated community of people who like really like. It's like when you role play in Grand Theft Auto Online. There's a small community of people who role play in Grand Theft Auto, and they take it very seriously, but it doesn't affect Grand Theft Auto as a whole. I think that kind of a thing is the best that these private servers could offer. To everyone saying, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this, we could do that. Yeah, sure. Those could be fun in the short term. You can do most of that in the main game already. Other than starting a new account with 1,000 times XP rates boost.
Yeah.
You can do that already.
That is how I'm envisioning them when I have a positive view. I'm not thinking about people making essentially competitors to old school like competitors to the main game. Like, oh, hey, I'm making a server where you get 10x XP, and I think thousands of people are going to play on this instead of playing the main game. I do think about it more as like small little servers that you run with your friends, or even like, I know you were like, people are going to ask us a billion times to make a TNL private server. Like, even something like that, where it's a small community and people have made their own thing. That's still bigger than I would personally care to interact with as much. But and I don't think from a business perspective, Jagex is going to set it up in a way where it's going to kind of compete with the main game, but they're going to be making money off it either way, so they don't care.
I don't think it's that it's like people are trying to compete. It's just it's sucking
Pulling
the life
people out of it. Yeah.
It's pulling people out of it. It's taking what's special about all these things that they're trying to showcase. Like, Frame's thing, for example. What if we had a purge? Like, yeah, it's Deadman mode. It's fun for a season. Yeah, it's Deadman mode. We have that. Flutton's thing. Oh, what if it's Fashionscape? Do all this. Fashionscape already exists in the game.
Yeah.
And they said the point of Fashionscape is to make it show off your achievements, right?
Yeah.
Soup's thing. What if it's Gillinor Games? Motherfucker, you already did that in the game.
Yes, I agree with that. I think the ability to make it different, I don't care. Like, modded RuneScape, I don't really care about. I care more about being able to make little servers with your friends. That is the part that I am excited about. The other thing, too, that I think is a negative, even though I'm overall probably a little positive on it, is this takes a ton of resources to do something like this. This comes at an opportunity. I know.
Team of people.
And that comes at an opportunity cost for, and like, I get that it's a dedicated team that's working on that thing, but that still means that you hired a bunch of people, spent a bunch of money to work on this thing instead of hiring a bunch of people working on things to give us new quests, give us new bosses, other things. That's not happening in lieu of getting private servers. So is it the thing I would have wanted them to spend resources on? No, but I like it better than Wrathmaw. That could be the tagline for every other part of the Summer Summit. It's better than Wrathmaw.
I don't know if I like private servers better than Wrathmaw.
Oxie,
but everything
gun
else
to
in
your
game,
head. One of the
better than
things
Wrathmaw.
happens tomorrow without us getting to vote on it. You picking Wrathmaw or are you picking private servers?
I'm sticking my hand forward and I'm pulling the trigger. I don't want either one of these updates.
Both of them happen if you pull the trigger. Well, at least you don't have to experience.
It's not my problem. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, man. Private servers are a thing. We're gonna go to break really quick because it's not Michael with us this time. So the format of this episode is gonna be a little bit different. So to the people shaking their fists at the sky that there's probably not going to be Achievement of the Week and Community Question again, I do apologize, but that's what you get when you get the Oxie and TMD Unhinged Nightmare. Michael's calling me a coward in the recording booth chat because I don't want to have a 4.5 hour episode. And to that, I apologize.
Give the people what they want, Oxie.
Someday I will, but today I'm going to take what I want, and that's going to be to take a break, go to the bathroom, and finish talking about hopefully the more positive bits of this Summer Summit.
Boy, have I got bad news for you
that.
about my opinions.
Well, we'll see, folks. We'll see you after this.
Ahoy there, citizens of Gillinor. My name is Captain Murphy, and I'm on the hunt for seamen. I need the hardiest seamen around, the best in all of Gillinor. What am I gonna do with all these seamen, you ask? I'm gonna take them out on my world-famous fishing trawler. Here at Captain Murphy's Fishing Trawler, we're going out to sea for a juicy bounty that only the open ocean can provide us. The seas at Gillinor are perilous, so grab your rod with both hands and fill your mateys' holes with that sticky hot tar. Yarg. The journey across the open ocean will be long and hard, but incredibly rewarding. You'll be coming home with enough fish to fill your sack for the next week. And if the luck of the sea be upon you, you might even leave with another man's soggy trousers. Yarg. Bring you and all your salty sea dogs down to Port Kezzard and sign up to take a trip out on Captain Murphy's fishing trawler. Be the seaman you were meant to be. Yarg.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial because I know that I sure did. Wouldn't it be crazy if TMD made us a commercial? If he didn't make us a commercial, at him and ask him why he didn't make us a commercial this week. As I've said, this community section is going to be a little bit different because we're probably not doing community question. And we're probably not doing achievement of the week, which we could have probably done both of those, but achievement of the week is not completed.
But Oxie hates the community, so he doesn't want to.
You know, I said to myself, I know that I helped formulate this community question section. Not the community question itself. That was Michael's idea. But, like, I know that I have helped perpetuate this community section. But I actually hate all of you guys. And I never want to shout you out again. Skillaxin is malding. And I feel so bad because
You should
it's
feel
2 weeks
bad.
in a row that we haven't gotten to shout out Skillaxin's achievement. I feel so bad. I was so invested and was just unable to say anything about it. It feels so bad. Hey, stop it. My cat's trying to eat my mouse cord. Which, like, makes sense. Cat trying to eat mouse. But anyways, not that we can't say anything about it. It's just gonna be more fun to shout out an achievement of the week and we can finally do it. But I'm gonna thank the patrons because we're still gonna do that. Well, Blue's gonna just eat my hair while I'm doing this. So we don't have any new Wise Old Men patrons this month, but you can see the Wise Old Men on screen now in between clips of Blue. She's biting my head for some reason. I don't know why. She's like gnawing at my hair. But the Wise Old Men who support us, the folks who come to the recording booth chat every week to listen to us yap about this game. We love you guys. And I'm sorry. I got interrupted by a thought I had last night. I was hanging out in another Discord and one of the guys is new and he like met people in like a TOA rating lobby and joined the Discord. I mentioned recording. He said, "What's your podcast about?" I said, "It's about RuneScape." And he goes, "Oh my god, are you the guy that does the RuneScape porn stuff?" And I was like, "What?"
Not yet, he's not.
I was like, wait a second, what? And he's like, "What's the thing everyone talks about in here?" And somebody else who's in the VC goes, "TNL?" He's like, "Yeah, that." And we're like, we don't know how you managed to draw those two connections. Only way I could think that you draw those two connections is because the people that have been on screen, the Wise Old Men, are sexy as all get out.
So true. I know.
But I hate to be that guy and compare people. But there is a group that some might say is sexier. I love you all equally. But some might say the King Black Dragon tier is sexier because they have sexier names. Names so sexy we read them out loud. I say... about to read
Can we get some
my own
ASMR
dad's
on this?
name out loud.
There's nothing sexier than you reading out the KBD tier with ASMR.
Let me collect myself here.
I'm gonna lose you money.
Okay, thank God. Good morning, everyone, because I know you're listening to this the moment this episode comes out, early in the AM, unless you're Australian. But in any case, how are you? Hope you slept well. Today, we're going to shout out the King Black Dragon tier, the people who support us on Patreon at the highest tier. And for that, you get the highest level of support. So, kicking us off, we have Apathy, Boston Sport, Brian M., Brooke 70, Chaos Cleric's Skydiving Adventure, my dad. Hi, Dad. I'm not doing that one sexy because it's a little.
Hi, Daddy.
It's a little strange. Anyways, speaking of banning TMD from the podcast, Cloud Kicker, Damon S, Dicky Bird, Elite Oreo Donkey, a donkey, Elite Oreo Dunker, Oxie's Demonic Butt Buddy 666, Our third favorite Patreon supporter, Ralph, Run Metal 15, Rylithian, Soggy Waffles, Seppi J, Sparky Life, Swole's Quarter Price BA and Essence Services, The Big G Jordy, and Warpatroning. I hope the 20 of you have a spectacular day, a spectacular week, and know that you are the sexiest of the Xpwaste Patreon supporters. And if you want to continue to support us and hear more of this sweet, sweet, low-toned ASMR that I hope I'm doing right, I'm just talking quietly into the microphone. I don't have one of those ear attachments. I don't know how this works. You can head over to patreon.com/xpwaste and support for as low as $1 a month. You can also technically support for free, but you don't get anything for doing that other than our love and admiration. Shout out to the gnome children and shout out to you, patrons. So if that's something you're interested in, why don't you head on over there and check that out? TMD,
Yeah.
Can I stop doing this now?
I guess, but boy,
Thank
I sure
God.
liked it. There's a reason I'm only visible from the chest up on the camera.
Oh my God. Well, I'm sorry for the patrons who had to go through that with the rest of us. We still have content to talk about from this summer summit, and hopefully this is going to be kept a little bit briefer because, at least for me, this is the good shit. I'm interested to see what TMD's thoughts are. We have a plethora of quality of life coming to this game, TMD. A plethora of quality of life.
Certified plethora.
The new mobile shit and the new client updates. How do you feel about that?
Adding some of the QOL stuff to mobile is like whatever. My biggest thing, it's a little tinfoil hat. It's not even that tinfoil hatty. Is like they are doing all of this stuff to angle to eventually get rid of Runelight. That is the big bosses at Jagex's goal at some point. They want to have people only play on their client, and so they're going to have people start to develop plugins for their client, and then they're going to get rid of Runelight, is where I think they are going with it.
And then they're going to put ads
And then
on
they're
the
going to make
official
private
client.
servers.
Yeah.
And like it's just one of those things where it's frustrating because RuneLight is open source. Anybody can contribute to it. Everybody is doing really cool work for free because it's contributing to the community. At some point, it will contribute directly to Jagex's profits and making more money instead of being open source and shit. And I hate that. So it's one of those where I think in the short term, it's a good thing. In the long term, I'm very pessimistic about the reasons for doing it. But overall, like, I mean, it's good. Like, plugins are very helpful. They shouldn't be locked to RuneLight. We'll see what it ends up looking like. Overall, I think it's fine. It doesn't get me excited at all.
The only thing I'm optimistic that they're doing this kind of a thing. So when the HD plugin comes out, it's not insufferable to play on the old client. Because the C++ or whatever it is, the official client is terrible.
Yeah.
It's just so not what we want. Like the devs don't even play on the official client unless they have to. They all play on RuneLight for their own enjoyment, right? And they still have a long way to go. I've seen no introduction of bank tags. Yeah, I don't know why bank tags are not a thing in the official game yet. Hopefully those come. But the stuff that we're getting, menu entry swapper, tile marker on mobile, that's good. That's so good.
Yeah.
It's going to be so helpful with menu entry swapper
Yeah.
on mobile.
I think also one of the things is like I don't play like the times when I'm playing RuneScape on mobile, it's not times when I'm like sitting down to play RuneScape how I like. I'm not going to go bossing on mobile. However, there are a ton of people who do, and this is great for them. Like genuinely incredible. There's so many things that like are just miserable to do. Like back when they introduced the clue scroll helper, I was a little apprehensive. I was like, you know, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of clue scrolls existing that you have to like, you know, go figure out what's going on. But at the same time, like, brother, nobody's fucking doing clue scrolls in the age of our Lord 2024. Praise be to Guthix. Nobody's doing them with a fucking sextant and chart. And so, like, just put it in, you know? So that I think it's very positive for people who primarily play on mobile. It's nice for people who, like, do some stuff on mobile. It's not going to get me excited, but I think it's, like, a positive change.
Yeah. Overall, it's quite good. I'm hoping your tinfoil hat theory isn't true, because they've said multiple times they have no plans to get rid of Runelight. But I'm hoping the Jagex overlords don't make that last minute decision.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen within the next couple of years. It's kind of like what I was saying with private servers, where it's going to have a larger long-term impact, right? Like, it's not something that they're going to do tomorrow, but their goal is going to be to reach parity with Runelight, or perceived parity on their part, and then be like, okay, now it's the only thing you can use.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very tinfoil hatty, and I don't think that would happen anytime soon, but it's just what I think longer term. I'm cynical about their motivations, but I think the changes laid out in front of us are good.
Yeah. Hoping so. In the same vein of improvement, we're getting the official plugin API, which, as we've talked about, we're also getting HD mode. Did you see any of the HD mode stuff?
Don't talk to me about HD. I think it's stupid.
What do we know about the HD mode, TMD?
Ooh, boy, they're redoing how water looks because of sailing. I like sailing. I don't think they need to spend a bunch of time making the fucking water look realistic and add shit. Like,
it's gonna look so
I
hot,
don't
dude.
fucking
It's gonna
care.
look so hot.
I have never played with 117 HD. HD is not my thing. I get that a bunch of people like it. To me, it's the only reason I care is, again, like the opportunity cost. Spending a lot of time developing HD, which is something I personally don't care about, and they could be developing other stuff. Overall, I'm like, whatever. I know a lot of people care about it. I'm excited for those people. I don't personally care about it, and I don't think it's like
I will say 117 is good. 117, it's just, there's something about 117 that isn't, especially compared to the stuff they see in the HD. It's way better. HD is way better than 117. And I think it was 117 was good for when it came out, when it really kind of cleaned everything up. And then it also kind of, like, remember how Jagex really fumbled the shit out of the 117 release? That was so bad. That was such a bad look on their part to do that. That was so bad.
And stuff like that is where a lot of my pessimism long term comes. Like, how many people who actually work on this game do you think wanted to treat 117 like Jagex as a whole had to treat it? None of them. They all love this game. They probably were like, this is incredible. This is super cool. But then the people who are higher up at Jagex who want money were like, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks.
That's why we ban corporations from video games. Only indie devs from here on out.
Exactly.
I'm excited. I was an HD kid. I grew up in the HD era of RuneScape, the pre-EOC, post-HD timeline. That was all me, dude. I loved it. I really like the way that I think they're gonna take it. Hopefully they add like a native animation smoothing in there.
I think they will.
I was not a fan of animation smoothing for a very long time. I was very against it. I thought it looked stinky. Having been playing on animation smoothing for probably like a year now at this point, I just turned it off woodcutting. Holy shit. It's weird and clunky. Like, it doesn't fit the HD vibe at all with animation smoothing off. Yeah. So I think having animation smoothing on internally will be good. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what they do with the HD stuff. What I'm not excited for, and Michael had to be a dick and remind me, this is probably not coming to Runelight. This is probably going to be a vanilla client thing to play on HD. Which is big sad.
Maybe. It would just depend on how they implement it. Like, whether it's the C++ client only or whether it's in the game. Like, is it a client thing or is it a, like, the files of the game itself thing?
It's It's probably a client thing because I imagine we're going to allow people to go back and forth. They're not going to make an HD shift permanent. They wouldn't do that. People would have a
No,
fit.
they've talked about how they're still going to have standard definition, and like the water changes are still going to be part of the standard definition. But I think the thing that makes me think we're going to get a little technical here. The thing that makes me think it will potentially be client related is they've talked about how it's the way they're going to do it is they're not like remaking all the models in HD. They are doing like you said, like animation smoothing, and they're doing stuff to the existing models in game as opposed to like making all new HD models and stuff. And like they've talked about how they're gonna increase the draw distance and frame rate increases and all of that. That stuff is probably a combination of client and like game assets themselves. So probably some combination of both. And then if it is only main client, that's again lending to them wanting to get rid of Runelight.
Yeah. That's going to feel real bad because HD is going to look so good. SD is going to look good when that improves, and HD is going to look so good. I'm glad they went how they went about this, where they only touched on it briefly instead of like just spending a whole lot of time. And frankly, given that we just got a sailing blog, I'm kind of glad they didn't touch on sailing a ton.
Yeah.
I kind of like how in this little Summer Summit summary, they give dates for everything. And then for sailing, they just say when it's ready as the release date.
Yeah.
So at least they're acknowledging that it's taking a long time. And I realized in the last couple episodes when I was talking about sailing, it was very harsh. Because like I brought up last week with Shep Wright, it's really only been in full development for a year. And I'm optimistic it's going to go well. It just feels like it's been longer than that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that perception is really hurting the player base. That like, brother, it's been 20 years. Where new skill? Where beta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know.
And it's interesting because sailing, we don't need to get into a sailing topic, but like out of the three proposed skills, sailing was always going to be the one that was going to take the longest because it was like completely new game mechanics as opposed to just like adding new content on top of existing mechanics. And they got to get it right. And we've never seen them have to introduce something so fundamentally different that we don't really have anything to point to for whether or not they're going to do a good job. I'm cautiously optimistic. I've always thought sailing would be very cool. The stuff they showed in the most recent sailing updates, I was more positive on than other people were. I know that you got to break a lot of eggs to make an omelet when you're doing software development, and you need to go through 10 iterations to find one that's good. Like, you're not going to be able to plan something that's just good from the start. That's just not how it works. So I'm still very optimistic.
Yeah. I agree. Sailing's going to be good. It feels bad that it seems like we're being drip fed nothing. But as someone who doesn't work in game design, as we said in the last episodes, that's a topic for another day, though.
Yeah.
Probably the last thing to touch on, other than like game jam updates, which like, do you feel strongly about any of the game jam updates?
I don't think
other than QOL good.
Collection log improvements, mini menus, bank deposit improvements, more POH customization. Have we heard more about the like in-game official bingo stuff anywhere?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
They touched on it very briefly, and they're like, "Hey, it's big, and it's not done."
Yeah. Fair enough. The only thing this leads more to, again, people fragmenting the community and then it being impossible to please everybody. Like, even just the collection log interface rework and the collection ranks and stuff, there's now a subset of the community who is like clog hunters, right? And those people have very different concerns about what they want in the game than everybody else who doesn't care about the collection log. And so again, you're just fragmenting the community a little bit and having to spend a bunch of resources making different parts of the community happy, and then that affects the overall design of the game where, you are designing boss drops around people who care about collection log, that kind of thing. And so
I wouldn't think that's where we go. Come on.
no,
now.
that has already happened over time, right? Like people thinking about wanting to be able to green log a boss or be able to green log a mini game. Like that is a concept that is relatively new over the course of RuneScape, and it affects how you design new content. Whether or not the design changes are better or worse, who cares? I don't know, but it does have an effect. So that's all I have to say about that. Like I don't think it's a bad thing. It's just a thing, and it lends to kind of what we were talking about with private servers and stuff. Overall,
on my private server, you'll get all the collection log slots as soon as you log in.
The mini menus actually
So
look really cool
stupid.
though.
Right?
Those look great.
Designed for the Max Cape too. I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. I think all of the stuff from the game jam is good. That's why I like included it in the second half. I don't think there's anything from the game jam that's like, oh, this bad. Like more POH customizations? Sure. Give Jerv the reins. Give the art team the reins. Let them go make whatever they want for the POH. It's cosmetic player-owned house shit.
Yep. I do.
Why do
like
we
the
vote on
POH.
this but not private servers?
Yeah.
You know?
And to be clear, that is not to say that we shouldn't vote on the POH stuff. Or at least I think it's not. But anyway. Yeah, those look good.
The big one. The quote-unquote big one.
The quote unquote big one is probably the best way to describe it.
Leagues 5.
Leagues 5. Lead us off. What did they tell us in the I have this is another one that I did spend
He's
some amount
not.
of time
He's
on.
not. He's not. You said you'd spend.
I
you
did
summer
spend a
on-
decent amount of time like looking into this, or like I watched the
Okay.
videos and stuff. But for the people at home who have not yet seen it, give us a brief overview.
in a vacuum, right? This is with no other opinions. Leagues is coming back in late November. We are doing a region locked mode again, but it's not Trailblazer. Instead, they're offering there's a couple new facets. The first is they are introducing echo bosses that they look like bosses that are in those regions, but they have unique mechanics and they drop unique items, some of which don't exist in RuneScape right now because they don't need to be balanced for anything. It's leagues. So, like, who needs a Shadow of Temekin when you can get the Dagonoff's ass wand and it's the most powerful magic weapon in the game, and you get it from killing, you'd think you get it from a Dagonoff, but actually you get it from killing, I don't know, King Black Dragon, right? These echo variants of these bosses, I don't know how they're going to spawn, but they seem like a fun new challenge. There's combat, how do they word it? It's like combat bracketing or something, not combat bracketing. It is combat masteries is how they're wording it. The system complements the relics to give you greater control of your battle buffs, progress the league, advance your combat mastery alongside your relics, and choose new effects and boosts, which they'll share more on closer to kickoff. So it sounds like they're almost adding like a secondary relic system where every time you get a new relic, it's going to be dedicated to something like banking or skilling or this and that and the other thing. But the combat masteries are going to be your combat relics. And I'm hoping they take the just go one angle, like just go with one combat style as they've done in the past. I think that allows it to be more fun because, again, the restrictions make it fun.
Yes.
I think if you can become a god in all three weapon types, it's less fun, as we saw with Shattered Relics. What they have done with this new piece of content, though, with this new version, all three raids drop all three mega weapons.
I did not see that. That's fun.
All three raids drop all three mega weapons. So
I like that.
You're not locked to a specific region with a specific combat style, which is fun. In a vacuum, I think Raging Echoes Leagues 5 is going to be pretty fun. I'm excited to see the cosmetics they cook up for it like they always do. Varlamore is its own region, from what I understand. I know the image kind of presents it like Zaya is the region, it kind of seems unfair to give Zaya and Varlamore as one big
Yeah.
thing because that continent is huge.
Zaya is already
So I
kind
think
of
dividing it up,
crazy.
yeah, if we divide it up between Korend and Varlamore, that's a pretty good one. And I think unlocking Varlamore could have some. Imagine
out.
an Echo.
What if it was Misthalin plus Varlamore? Because that's how you get there. I don't think they would ever do that, but Misthalin's kind of a stinky region. It's only fine because you get it for free. Because there's not that much content in Varlamore right now. What are you going to go to Perilous Moons and Leagues?
No, part 2's going to be.
I know, but like, okay, you're going to get a Dragon Hunter
Coliseum.
wand. Yeah, you're going to do the Coliseum, but like...
Huaycodal. You're going to get a great prayer training method. You're going to get Perilous Moons, like we said. You're going to get the Agility course. You're going to get the Herblore minigame. You're going to get Hunter Rumors. You're going to get the Thieving method.
Yeah.
You're going to get hardwood patches, and you're going to get herb patches.
The only stuff I think about is like endgame bossing in the regions. At this point, that's the only thing I care about in the leagues. And like, there's really not. Like, I know the Coliseum is very fun and would be cool, but the rewards are like, nobody would take Karamja just to do the Inferno if Karamja wasn't free. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, taking a step back. Did you have any other things you wanted to say about like what the content is?
Oh, I think it's an interesting twist. While part of me is a little bummed that we are just going with the region lock forever angle. It's unfortunate, but it's tried and true. The one time they tried it not region locked, it felt bad. Like I feel this is kind of how I'm thinking about it. Right. On the surface, it feels bad to know that every league is going to be in a similar format, quote unquote, for the rest of forever. On the upside, it works. It works, and they can manipulate it in ways where it feels fresh every time. At least we will see if that is true with Raging Echoes.
I feel pretty strongly that it's a step in the wrong direction. I think the issue is now that the expectation is that Leagues is happening every year, and that Leagues needs to be a consistent experience that is kind of like, we're just going to iterate a little bit on it. We have that in Deadman mode, and we have seen that it gets so stale. Like, think how fun and innovative Deadman mode was the first couple times that it existed, and now nobody gives a shit.
Well, when they released, what was the first one? Apocalypse? Deadman Apocalypse or Deadman, I don't know. I think it was Apocalypse was the first one where they did the boss breaches.
Yeah, and like
that.
That's cool, and that got people a little more interested again. But like, how different was this last one? Nobody cared.
It was almost exactly the same.
Nobody cared. Like, other than people who are super in, there's gonna always be people who are like super into grinding ranks in leagues and stuff like that. And for anybody for whom it's their first league or like the first league where they're all in, like, it's always gonna be fun. But I would so much rather them experiment and like, hey, maybe it's just this league, you tried weird shit and it didn't work. I would so much rather have a unique experience every time. And that would probably mean they can't do it every year, and I'm cool with that too.
I almost like that it's not yearly, because it's exhausting to know that like the last 6 or so weeks of the year are just like RuneScape burnout guaranteed.
I just think there's so many interesting things they could do that, starting from it's always going to be region locked, disincentivizes them from doing other interesting stuff. Like I've said for a while, I think that they should do a group Iron Man league. That'd be really cool. They're never gonna do that. Like, I
don't know how many times don't make me tap the sign, TMD. Group Iron Man mode league is not a good idea, because what's gonna happen? You and your buddies are gonna get together, and it's gonna be great for the first 4 days, and then within a week, only one person's gonna be playing. And then the league's population is going to drop off so significantly, and all of these tasks that are designed to be completed by a group are going to get that much more difficult because your group has decided to fuck off and go back to the main game. Group Iron Man leagues is a bad idea. Please.
Listen, you might be right. We wouldn't know unless we tried it, and we're not going to try it because leagues again, it's getting to like, what are the expectations about the thing? Now Leagues is like a moneymaker for Jagex, and it has to be a consistent positive experience.
It does kind of feel like that now, doesn't
no,
it?
it's something
Like,
that they have to bank on.
especially after Trailblazer. It's like they were like, ooh, this makes us a lot of money, actually. Let's Call of Duty this. Like,
Exactly.
I did get that sense
It's-
when doing the when they did the video. It's like, oh, man.
Yeah. Now Leagues is something that we expect on a consistent basis. It means that they have to pump it out, whether they have good ideas for it or not, whether they're like inspired to do cool things or not. That's my concern with it. The specific changes they have made for this one, I think, are cool. I think I would have liked it better if they had leaned even more into those things rather than, but because they had to start from a place of, well, we're starting with region locks. It just it narrows the design space they can have, and
I don't know about that.
it does. If you have to do that, you can't play around. Like, if that's the core of what's different about it versus having other options. Like, even Leagues 1, where it was just Zaya, you had way weirder shit going on. Like, I would like to see something more like that, where you're just, the game is completely different rather than being the fourth time that we've had a region locked league, you know? So,
Yeah.
and it would, again, be fine if they were like, oh, hey, once again, we are doing a region locked league. I'd be a little disappointed. But the fact that they basically said this will be the basis for all leagues going forward, that's the part that I'm super pessimistic about.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but...
I mean, hi, baby. Woo.
The baby.
I'm hoping that they're able to iterate on this in a way that it doesn't feel like it's a, like I said, Call of Duty style league where every year we get the same shit, just repackaged. I love leagues. I'm relatively optimistic for it. What I will say is two things. Number one, if you are in TNL and you're excited for Fall Bingo, it's not affecting the bingo dates. Me, Michael, and TMD had a, not TMD, Tiki, me, Michael, and Tiki had a heart attack when they said November. We said, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So they said late November is when it comes out. Please, God, I hope nothing changes if they move it up.
They would never move it up.
Ideally, if we look
If
we look at the calendar right now, late November to me sounds like Wednesday, November 20th or Wednesday, November 27th. I really hope it's Wednesday, November 27th.
When is Thanksgiving in the U.S.? Because, like, obviously they're not going to think about that, but it's kind of interesting if it's around Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's better or worse.
That's almost certainly worse, as a matter of fact.
Thanksgiving is the 28th, so no matter what, it will be... Thanksgiving will occur
It's
during.
probably going to be the week of the 20th then. Yeah. It's probably going to be the week of the 20th so they can release it. Yes, they are. You know how many Americans they have play this game?
Yeah.
Like, Thanksgiving is a very American holiday. It would be like, I'm trying to think of like other major holidays. Does England have any major holidays like Thanksgiving? This is my American talking.
I'm sure they do, but I also don't know off the top of my head. It's like they're not playing around like the 4th of July.
Well, yeah, that's obviously not. Why would we think the losing country would do that? Am I right?
Let's go.
But like, I'm not good with other major cultural or religious holidays, I guess. But Boxing Day, that's the day after Christmas,
I think
right?
that's just like Canada, right? Or is that the whole like British Empire?
I have no idea. But I know it's the day after Christmas, so we're going to be off anyways. Going to be late November. It's not going to change the dates of bingo, is the TLDR there.
For those wondering at home, Boxing Day is the Commonwealth nations, which is essentially all of the nations that were British colonies that don't still hate Britain.
Leagues 5 was the most anticlimactic announcement in the entire summer.
Yeah.
It was, everyone expected a new league, right? So to save it for the very end is like, really?
Yeah. But
And
what would they have put? What was the headliner of this if it wasn't leagues? Nothing.
So there's things I can build off of that statement too. Having been there at the summit doing the stream with all the people, the fucking private server announcement was a giant boner killer, dude. The video was too long and it was not a fun announcement. It was just it killed any momentum that we had.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Leagues 5, yay, that's it. That's all we get is Leagues 5, which, like, yeah, this is really spoiled bitch, that's all we get. But I think, like, the way these past summits have worked, with the last two being the exception, right? If we look at some of the older summits, do you remember the first summit they did?
Yeah.
Incredible. Leagues, Dead Man, Beneath Cursed Sands. Oh, and by the way, a new fucking raid. The next one they did, we got the DT2 announcement, the new skill announcement, all the other hype shit that we got coming from all of that. And then we got like, all right, cool. The big announcement is Wild Gothic Sleeps, which like we kind of knew was coming to the game anyways. And then at least they had a cool trailer.
Yeah.
Like,
I think what this was missing is something unexpected that people are excited about. Rathmaw was unexpected.
people, at least we aren't excited about that shit. I don't know who is. I don't think I've come across anyone who's like, Rathmaw's gonna be so excited. Like I've talked to people who are like, dude, private server, huge potential, gonna be great. Leagues 5, huge potential, gonna be great. I don't think I've met anyone who's like, Rathmaw's gonna be great. You guys.
Yeah, I think the people who are going to be excited about Rathmar are the people who want the wilderness to be a place where you make a lot of money or care about PKing people who are doing PVM. People who care about like doing PvP against other players who also are doing PvP, I don't think are going to care that much, and everybody else who's into PVM is against it. I don't know. And we don't need to talk about Rathmar, but so it's missing an unexpected thing that people are excited about. Like you said, them being like a new raid. Like people were like hopeful there would be a new raid when TOA got released. Nobody was like banking on it, you know? But this year, they've even already kind of like talked about the private servers. Like that had been kind of floating around. We know all the Varlamore parts are coming out. We know there's going to be another league. Right? Like, we know you're going to finish this quest. So, like, give us a quest line that you haven't touched in a while. Give us a new, unexpected, like, small little area, you know? All of it was stuff that we either already knew about.
There was, like, no skilling update. I mean, like, there's skilling updates coming from the Varlamore pieces, but there's no, like, Guardians of the Rift type shit, you know? Yeah. Like, it just seemed like, dog.
Yeah. There's nothing new and unexpected and exciting. All of the new stuff is either like retrains of stuff we already had, stuff that people are negative about, or stuff that is like, okay. So I would have liked to have seen something kind of out there, you know?
Yeah. I think that's probably a good place to sum up the summit. Is cool, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the mid summit is what Michael and I were calling it yesterday, because it just, like you said, unexpected but not exciting, or expected and thus kind of killing some of the excitement. Yeah. We know a new Call of Duty game is going to come out every year. We know a new league is going to come out. We know there's going to be a new Dead Man mode in the summer, which they're going to announce at RuneFest. I really think when RuneFest comes around in March, they have got to knock the socks off people with the announcements.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely think shit like Rathmaw would have been booed.
Yeah.
If they announced it at RuneFest, could you imagine Rathmaw gets booed? Could you imagine private servers get booed?
That would have been a, like, you guys have phones, don't you? Like Diablo Immortal, like, levels of getting memed on stage.
And the thing is, like, Do you think it would have been that, or do you think it would have been people are way more excited about it?
No, Rathmaw especially, people would have crucified them. Like, genuinely, like, it's
I swear, had Mank gotten on stage and said, "Well, if you're not PKers, just don't
Exactly,
do the
yes.
content," he would have been fucking
Yeah,
ostracized.
no,
Please don't let that man on
no,
stage.
please do, so that he can realize how terrible of a fucking idea. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like they had a design contest to design the thing that the most people would hate. Other than like a
And they
literal
all won.
evolution of combat, every single design choice they made about this boss is gonna have people who hate it.
A world boss in the deep wilderness that only spawns 3 times a day with a teleblock mechanic that would take a literal year for you to get the
That is
upgrade
time
item.
restricted, that has mechanics that like introduces even more mechanics that make things work different in the wilderness than don't.
Everybody hurts. It's so bad, dude.
Yeah. And like, to bring it back around, I think the things that I'm very excited about, like, there's a lot of things in here that I think are gonna be awesome, but they're things we already knew about. Like, I think all the Varlamore stuff is gonna be really good.
Varlamore's gonna be great.
I think the Curse of Erov is gonna be good. All the quests they've introduced are always good. It's just we want to break from that quest line. Like, I have no illusions that it's not gonna be a really cool like quest. Maybe it'll introduce a new boss or like a new item or a new enemy. That thing is gonna be cool. They've been knocking it out of the park with stuff like that, and in that respect, we're very spoiled that they have been batting 1,000 on stuff like that recently. It's just that we like already knew about that. Like, we didn't know that that's the quest they were gonna do, but like, that quest line is a little overdone right now. I'm also like, the giant bosses are the new boss that we didn't know about that they are introducing, but like, it's hard to get people excited about a mid-game boss with an enemy type that we already have. We have in our heads an idea of what the giant boss fights look like, and those are not exciting. I think it will be pretty different than those, but so it's hard. Like, we're starting from a place of not that exciting of an encounter, and like, you're telling us how it's going to be different than that, but like, hard to get hyped about that.
It is.
The Enrage boss.
I'm looking
like,
at. I think that's going to be fun when it comes to fruition, but you figure that's not coming until later. That's like
late
spring 25.
2025. My thing.
So probably like April 25.
Like, my assessment of what my one-liner is like, oh, TOA invocations, but we stopped even pretending that they're interesting. The only thing they do is scale health and damage and increase your reward potential. Like, I don't think that's an interesting way to make things more difficult. And we're just like, we're getting rid of all the things where we're even pretending that we're adding interesting mechanics. We're just making it.
I mean,
more
the boss could have a lot of interesting mechanics.
No, but
the boss
the
could
baseline
be
boss
like a
will, too.
Raxor level fun to fight, but it just gets bigger and stronger every single time. I think with an Enrage boss, it's less about, oh, we're going to add a bunch of wacky new mechanics. That's how high can you get the Enrage. It's just another challenge for people. It's going to be, I think someone said yesterday in our chat, I think it was Nate Dogg, he said like, and before Port Khazard's 4,000% enraged Doom boss, like he did the 27 Awakened Leviathan in one inventory, right? Like,
And like,
with
that's
one free
cool.
inventory. Like, that's crazy.
That is crazy. But how much does that affect your enjoyment of the game as a player? 0. So it's hard to get people excited about it, right?
You know, TMD, I think if you're not an endgame PVMer, you just shouldn't touch the content. Just don't do it. You know, just don't do the content if you don't think it'll be whatever. God, man, looking at these old summits.
The old summits are crazy.
Summer Summit 2021, where we had it the best. Because you want to know what I forgot they announced? Well, not announced, but like showed the trailer for him. Was like, by the way, it's really close. Group Iron Man. God damn. Even the Summer Summit in 23.
23 was the least good before 2024. And even then.
Well, I don't necessarily know if that's true, right? Because Summer 23 was, hey, Forestry Part 2, nobody really gives a shit about that. Holiday events, nobody really gives a shit about that.
I guess also Path of
we're
Gluffery,
getting a new
we totally
rat boss.
forgot about that. That they have
Path
done
of Gluffery,
that quest line.
sure. Chambers of Zarek, sure. Like, it was all pretty cool. And then Leagues 4, Trailblazers coming back. That shit was huge. And then they were like, oh, yeah, by the way, Varlamore is finally coming to the game. Holy shit, dude. That was big.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And we weren't even upset that they were just redoing Trailblazer because everybody loved Trailblazer. The league before that had been a little bit of a letdown, and we were like, okay.
And it was like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
too. Like, there's a gap between
And they had
leagues.
basically explicitly said, like, listen, if we're going to do a leagues right now, it has to be a redo because we just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And everybody was like, cool, it's been long enough since we've had a league. Run it back, whatever. It'll still be hella fun. But now that it's going to be every time, maybe every year, like, it's just... And don't get me wrong. I think overall, I expect the average, like, quality of the stuff they announced to be like a 7 or 8 out of 10. I think it's all going to be good, but very little of it gets me excited.
Yeah. Hopefully, the RuneFest Summit is better. And hopefully we're wrong. Honestly, hopefully we're wrong about all this stuff and it's actually great and we're just a couple of pessimistic boomers. I'm hoping that's what this turns into.
Yep.
Because I think that's a good way to cap off a Summer Summit, lest we be here all goddamn day long talking about it.
Summit.
Summit, exactly. TMD,
Oxie.
we can't end this episode without... We have to keep some traditions alive.
Okay.
And I feel like after this relatively doom and gloom old man yells at cloud ass episode, we need something to keep the people alive. I'm going to ask you this, and I'm only going to ask you this once.
Okay.
Do you have a fun question for us this week?
A fun question?
Fun question. Do you have a fun question for us this week?
Yes, I do, Oxie. Hoping that you're
What's your fun
hoping that you're
question?
providing with a fun question, and you were just setting me up for it. Do you want like?
What's your question?
Do you want like a question that people have submitted previously, or do you want me to come up with a fun question?
Oh, it sounds like he doesn't have a fun
No,
question for us, folks.
okay. I've got one.
Sounds like he's blissfully unprepared.
I was blissfully unprepared. You get to come up with a new twist for leagues because we're so pissed off that it's going to be area locked forever. Pitch the main twist of a league, and it can't include area locked.
Can't include area locked. Off the top of my head, a new twist for a league is it's mainly involved around bossing, right? Skilling probably going to be about the same with the boosted XP rates and things like that. How you engage with bosses is going to change dramatically. This is old school RuneScape League 6 inverted. It's the inverted league where now the methods you use to kill these things, these bosses, are very different. You know, the Tumekins Warden is now immune to magic attacks, and it can only be killed by melee, right? You no longer take certain types of damage with certain gear combinations on. Bosses drop items that, kind of like in Raging Echoes, bosses drop items that don't exist in the game currently,
Sure.
that have dramatically different effects on bosses. Like, for example, they have a what are they called? They have a Tazarbane weapon that drops from Corporeal Beast for some reason. Why not?
Sure.
You know? And you get this Tazarbane weapon and it hits like a machine gun against some of these things. Like, you know, your own little AC 130, but you can use it against Jad and Zuck.
Sure.
you know, that it pretty much takes the metas that you know about old school RuneScape, and while keeping it consistent every single time, shifts everything. So it almost like takes it all and what's the term? Transforms it onto another plane, right?
Flips it on its head.
Vorkath is now a mage. Exactly. Vorkath is now a mage boss, right? The head phase at Ulm can now it can only be killed by, I don't know, melee, for example. Bosses have attacks that are totally different. Not different mechanics necessarily, but like Prime is now the melee guy. Rex is now the range guy. Supreme is the mage guy. Just things
mix
like
it
that
up.
where it's just to completely be like, oh god, the game files got totally scrambled when making this league, and now everything is totally wild and wacky.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you play into that of like, hey guys, the game file's broken, we need you to fix them. League 6 game file scape, where you have to go in and kill these bosses, these weird kind of like digitally corrupted versions of bosses in order to fix
You know
them.
what this kind of sounds like, and I think it'd be cool for them to almost lean into it like this. This sounds like something that would be the basis for like a holiday event. Like that's the kind of thing that they used to do for like, oh shit, evil Santa is here and he's like fucked everything up and everything is working weird compared to what you're used to. You gotta fix it. I think that
Yeah, but like instead of like, oh no, when you fill a bucket, you actually get a bucket of spiders.
Yeah.
It's like you have to fix it. It's like you need to kill these corrupted versions of bosses until you can get like a corruption disc or something. And then you'll use the corrupted disc, and then you'll get a fun little cutscene where the boss goes back to normal. And now suddenly, instead of having to take a dragon halberd and kill Zulrah with melee, 'cause it's the only thing that'll affect it, now you get access to normal Zulrah.
and maybe they
and it
keep
allows you to
letting
unlock things.
and like you could go back and still fight the other one if you wanted to, but
Yeah, because maybe the corrupted version will drop the weird drops, but the normal version drops the shit you know, like the blowpipe and the Serpelm, things like that. That could be like that's the first thing that comes to my
That'd be
mind.
fine.
Let's just make it stupid.
Yeah.
You know, what do you got
So-
for me?
I will preface this by saying I think this could actually be terrible. However, this is the shit that I want them to just like come up with different ideas for what a league is. The thing that I think would be cool for making it completely different for what a league is they lean into the time restricted high scores part of it. Here's my pitch. You ever been maxed, Oxie?
No.
Well, now you have. You start
No.
Leagues 6 maxed with a certain amount of shit in your bank. Everybody does. And when that's gone, it's gone. And you are trying to see what's the most boss kills you can get. What's the fastest you can kill bosses? What's the most specific shit you can do? And then when you're done, you're done. You could restart if you wanted to. But it's like, who can kill the most fucking total bosses with having 10,000 amethyst arrows in their bank and you have no other ranged ammo ever? Maybe that's terrible, but it's weird and it's different and it's a whole different way to think about and play the game. And like maybe that exact thing is terrible, but like something where you are starting with limited resources and you need to come up with a plan for how to use those limited resources in a weird way to like maximize what you can do.
That would be weird.
Weird. Very weird. And that's
But it
what
would be-
I want.
But here's my question. What do you do if like, okay, so then does Theater of Blood become the meta because you can take Bruise out?
No, you wouldn't be. So I think the part of this that needs like workshopping is then there's no progression. And one of the best things about RuneScape is progression. So you'd have to figure out how to get some amount of progression. Maybe
The Grandmaster Maxcape.
yeah. So I think that's the part that's missing from this. Uh, Michael said, "Hey, that sounds like a great idea for a community server."
He's
gonna
terrible.
Um,
I'm gonna one of these days, Michael. One of these days.
So like I think that like if they implemented the exact thing I said, it would probably be bad. That wouldn't be a fun league. But coming up with things that are completely different and completely change, Michael's hey Michael.
He's on one, dude. He's
on
on
one. Just completely different things starting from the ground up instead of starting from a pretty like specific
well-established
well-traveled
the same
path.
Call of Duty menu from 2019.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want them to do something completely different.
You know what could be fun that I think people pitched for initially leagues for many moons ago? RuneScape Through the Ages, where you're not area locked, you are era locked.
Very cool.
And you need to progress through 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you get to 2024 and make it so it's not impossible to do these things, right? But
or
make it so like everybody starts on like a really the same, Dragon Slayer's the big thing everyone's trying to do,
Yeah, similar to that. Do you remember the spoilers if you were ever going to do this? I doubt you were. That like Pokemon Nuzlocke RuneScape thing I told you about a while ago, where you would be area locked and you'd have to like beat someone who had the best gear from that area. That would actually be fucking cool for a league. Imagine in order to unlock a new area, instead of doing a certain amount of tasks, you have to beat a boss that is in that area that's like a new thing they made up that is like really difficult and like uses attacks from like all the different bosses in that area. And so or like a boss rush of all the bosses in that area, and the only way to escape that area is to beat that boss rush or beat that boss that is like a combination of all the other bosses.
Dude, shut the fuck up. Hear me out. You know how cool that could
Yeah.
be? You get very like your first region, it's Misthalin. There's not really many bosses there. There's Sire that has an 85 Slayer requirement, but like we're gonna let you bypass that because we don't want to make you sit in Misthalin the entire time. Oh, you gotta kill. Oh, okay, you gotta kill Scurious with your dog shit Misthalin gear, and then it just like unlocks you in a path.
But make a fucking Scurious that instead of summoning 5 rats, he summons 5 abyssal scions.
Dude, hear me out. Could you imagine how hype it would be that people have to kill probably a dumbed down variant, but they have to kill Zuck to get out of Karanja?
Yeah. That'd be
Tell me
cool.
how hype it would be. Tell me how hype
and you can be overpowered as
into
fucking
an arena.
leagues, and so people who couldn't do the Inferno normally.
Oh my god, exactly. You walk into an arena and the bell sounds, and out of each corner of the room, Venonadus, Callisto, Vedion, Scorpia, they all come at the same fucking time. And you gotta kill all of them to get out of the wilderness.
But instead of a bell ringing, it's the nail beast noise to mark the start of the fight.
Armadillo crossbow.
Yeah, no, and like to be fair, this is an idea that works with starting as a base of area restricted. But it's so different than anything they've done before. It's not based on tasks and points, and so I just want them to. Michael, you just want a community server.
This fucking guy just said hot take, anything that doesn't involve tasks that unlock relics is just community server content. Michael's been banned from the Xpwaste Discord.
Sorry, Michael.
I kicked him out just now. I hit the button. He's gone. He's done. Don't try to @him because he's disappeared. And if you've seen him in VC between the recording of this episode and the release of this episode, you've been gaslit. That's not the real Michael because he's been kicked out.
Skinwalker
So,
Michael,
sorry,
who's actually the boss of Zaya.
He's the Chambers boss. You walk in expecting home. It's Michael. It's not a fight. You just have to talk with him about why skilling is better than PvM.
Anyway. Oh,
He said he'll be on his community server having fun. You know what? I won't even say so will we. TMD, it's been a pleasure having you back on the show.
Good as always.
We love a good Oxie and TMD unhinged nightmare. I know this has been a bit more negative than we normally talk about here on the show. I don't know. If you guys were hoping for more hype from the summit, so were we.
Yep.
We apologize that we were not able to provide that level of hype for you. Let us know your thoughts in the Xpwaste chat, because there's no community question this week. Just tell us what you thought about the summit. Let's have an open discussion about it when a little cooler heads prevail. It's been a couple of days since the summit, and when this episode comes out, let us know. Follow us on Patreon, or don't follow us on Patreon. Don't do that. Go to the link tree below in the description. Follow us on all our social media if you want to hear more of us. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to Patreon if you want to, or don't. I'm not your mom. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. I don't know what you would at Michael about. Could we at Michael about something, TMD? What could they at Michael about?
At Michael about getting arcane prayer scrolls. ask Michael how many arcanes he has.
I hope by the time this episode comes
He has more.
All right. Well, with that, folks, we will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.
See y'all.